Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
The Defense Department briefed the president this morning. They told President Obama that 2 Brazilian soldiers were killed in Iraq. To everyone's surprise, he collapsed on his desk, head in his hands, visibly shaken, almost in tears. Finally, he composed himself and asked, "Just how many is a Brazilian?" This is not surprising, since he obviously has no understanding of a billion or a trillion either. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Holy smokes. Good morning, good morning. Oh, good morning, good morning. Oh, my goodness. Gina, does this line sound all right? Because I'm getting a very kind of a tinny sound over here. And
really?
Yeah, and maybe check the feed line, or maybe they did something different for the football games this weekend or something. Woo-wee.
Everything's the same. Everything's the same.
Anyhow, hopefully that'll clear up. Good morning, everybody, and I'll get to Gina in just a moment. Don't forget, this is Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Talked to Randy earlier this morning, as a matter of fact. All 7 locations serving you and getting you ready for wintertime driving. And then also, don't forget our great advertisers like Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call 734-6969. And here she is. I've already kind of half talked to her. She's ready to go, raring to go. Good morning, Gina.
Good morning, sir, and happy Monday to you on a very short work week.
You know what today is on a national level? Yeah, I know it is Monday, but it's Blase Day.
Blase Day.
Blase Day.
Huh. What does that mean?
You just kind of go, whatever.
Okay, I can do that. I do that well.
I hate that.
Really well.
You know, I hate that slogan. I think that's one of the words and slogans or whatever. I hate that. I did it right there.
There you
Whatever.
go. Whatever.
No, I hate that.
Whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, did you have a good weekend?
I did have a good weekend. Of course, we finished up with 60 Hours to Fight Hunger. We raised over 1,900 turkeys.
Woo.
And then yesterday was Work on Vehicles Day.
Did you get it done?
No.
Oh. Okay.
No.
Well, that was short and sweet. Hey, we got a birthday we'll talk about right after our pledge and everything, okay?
Okay, and we've got Al on for the pledge and Mr. Michael Rogers on for the pledge.
All right. Good morning, Alan. How are you?
Good morning, Deborah.
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As usual, you do a great job. And how's the lovely Miss Polly this morning?
She's getting on you every day, but I love it.
Oh, boy, there you go. All right.
You know something, Zeb? I am getting so sick and tired of this refereeing bunch this year.
Oh,
Why
brother.
don't they do some stuff about it?
Well, I want to talk about that later on this morning if I get a chance, but just real quickly, I never have seen so many flags as I did yesterday in the games that I watched. And I'm going to go back and say this, maybe you won't agree with this, but I think it's all a part of the wussification of sports. You can't touch this, you can't hit them here, you can't do that. I've never seen so many atrocious penalties as there's been called lately.
That's why I don't blame Brady for what he did last night.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to take a timeout to calm him down because that was blatant. It was foul, and yet they would not call it. But yet they was letting them all during the game, getting passes out of bounds, good, complete.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. Give them a grading system. If they can't live up to at least 80% efficiency, get rid of it.
Yeah, but on the other hand, they've turned pro football into a thou shalt not touch type sport.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah.
But, still, I don't blame Brady one damn bit.
All right. Well, it was quite a comeback. I'm going to be talking about that here in just a few minutes. So,
yeah, it were.
Al, God bless you, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
All righty. Good morning, MichaelRogersWeather.com. How are you, sir?
We're doing pretty good here in the Pacific Northwest along the Columbia River. Washington on my right side. State of Oregon on my left side. Morning, everybody. When it comes to weather, you got a situation where sometimes you just want to know it and just move on, and then sometimes it's like, okay, why in the world are we so cold this early in the year? Well, let me give you a little weather tip. You can take it for what it's worth. But when it gets warm in Alaska like it does right now, and one of the unusual things about Alaska this time of year is that they've got a situation what is known as the Pineapple Express. They've got warm, moist air going up in there. And for those folks up there, that's really bad because they get freezing rain and they close schools and it gets to be a mess. What does that mean for Idaho? What does that mean for the Magic Valley? That means we get cold. And that cold air is coming down from Canada. It's not as strong as it is east, but it's cold. All right, now, how long are we going to stay in this pattern? I'm going to be there through Thanksgiving holiday. So you're going to look for a high today. If you make it to 46, you'll be lucky. 46 is a pretty good number. The overnight lows, it doesn't matter what the overnight lows is. It's going to be in the teens. It's going to be cold. I can sit here and waste my time and tell you it's going to be super cold in the upper teens. No, it's going to be cold, and you're not going to like it. And you're going to worry about what's happening at Thanksgiving. It's going to be like that as we work our way toward the weekend. You're going to see a lot of sun, very little clouds for today and tomorrow. We'll start to warm up into the low 50s by the time you get to Thursday. Other than that, enjoy the weather. Tell me whether you got.
Boy, I feel like we just got delivered a sermon. Thank you very much. MichaelRogersWeather.com. Appreciate it. Have a good day, sir. Don't forget Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes. You know what? They've got gift certificates. Yeah, you can check on their prepaid gift cards and give them out as stocking stuffers for Christmas. That's a great idea to introduce people that you know to the world's greatest cleaners. Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You better get everything clean for the holidays of Thanksgiving, and hurry in there. Thanksgiving's this week, and then also Christmas. Everybody's coming over to the house. They'll see all the dirty drapes and everything. Get them cleaned at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Also, want to say thank you to SafeLink Internet, and we've been on the program with SafeLink Internet for quite some time, and believe me, absolutely the very best. You give them a call. Free installations, unlimited data, and Shane and the rest of the crew serving you. Number to call, and do this. Tell them Zeb sent you, because you'll be very thankful of getting on the program. 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000. SafeLink Internet, serving you. We got a birthday boy. We're going to get to that in just a moment. I want to remind you that the Modern Woodman of America, Chapter 15634, is going to have great big doings in recognition of hometown hero at Doc's Pizza. This is going to be on December 12th at 6 to 7:30 p.m., and the cost is $3.50. And for ages 8 and under, $1.50. Jerry Voss is the coordinator for that, and it's an excellent, excellent event, Jerry. We certainly appreciate it. Got a birthday boy in the audience, and it happens to be the world's best neighbor, and that's Rocky Matthews. Gina, how about a little bit of that music for Rocky this morning? Oh, yeah, he's having a birthday.
How old is he?
He's old, man. He's old. He's decrepit. He's an antique. Let's give him a happy birthday to Rocky Matthews, world's best neighbor right here in Murtaugh. And Deanne's in baking him some goodies, I think.
Is she going to bake me some goodies, too, when my birthday comes around?
When is your birthday?
Oh, we have like 7 months to go. My birthday ain't until June.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get to it, I promise. I'll just tell her she's got to bake you some yum-yums.
A lemon meringue pie would be wonderful.
Oh, do you like lemon meringue pie?
I love lemon meringue
I do
pie.
too. You know, the real thick with the lemon and then the meringue that looks like a tidal wave coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
So, Deanne, mark that on your calendar for June 2nd. That's what I want for my birthday.
Hey, by the way, we've only got today and tomorrow, and tomorrow is the final day of our Thanksgiving turkeys. So if you want to get something in today, you better email it right away. We've got a whole jar full of names and all their little paragraphs about what Thanksgiving means to them, or you, I should say, out in the audience. And get those to me today, please, because the drawing's going to be held tomorrow for 2 more turkeys. Compliments of our friends at Valley White Home and Ranch, Ramsey Heating and Electric, Smith's Food King, and Zeb at the Ranch. Get those in quickly today. The drawing's going to be tomorrow on my program. Don't forget Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop, 1243 Blue Lakes Boulevard in Twin Falls. If you've had an accident or a little crinkle or a fender bender or whatever, you better take it in there. And they strive to make all your vehicle repairs undetectable. I'm telling you, they're good. 736-2490. That number again, 736-2490. You be sure and stop in, tell them Zeb sent you, because I'll guarantee you well over 50 years of accumulated collision experience at Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop in Twin Falls. Really nice people. This morning, I want to talk to you for a few minutes about this so-called agreement with Iran. This is a bad deal for us. It's a bad deal for Israel, especially for Israel. But really, what could you expect? Caller, I'll be right with you. Don't go away. What could you expect from the likes of Secretary of State John Kerry, Mr. Appeasement at his worst? And it's just disgusting to think that we are going to ease the sanctions on Iran and basically take their word about their backing off on nuclear enrichment programs. Do you trust them? I don't. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. How about some good news?
Well, throw it at me real fast.
Okay, gas is down now to $3.19.9. Is that good news?
It's good news, but it started to go back up again this morning.
Did it really?
Yes, the newspaper...
The point I want to make is that when it goes down like this, let's thank the people who brought it down. I mean, we get so angry when it goes up. When it goes down, why, we just forget who they are, right?
I agree with you. Mm-hmm.
The good news in that is that it's $3.19.9 in Burley, but in Boise last Thursday it was $3.29.
Yeah. Explain something to me. Explain something to me real fast, and I apologize. I'm having a terrible time hearing my listeners this morning. I feel like I've got my feed line is just crammed, like it sounds like a tin can this morning for some reason. I apologize. But explain something to me real quick, because I haven't got a lot of time this morning with the abundance of great commercials I have to do. Why is Idaho, and they have had this unfortunate ranking for a long time, 48th as far as being the lowest on the list, but the highest in prices in the United States?
Well, for one thing, our gasoline tax and diesel tax is higher in Idaho than it is in most states.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in Utah, Saturday I had to run to Salt Lake and back real fast, but I bought gas down there for $2.99.
I heard that. I heard that it was down below $3.
But just to have a little glimmer of hope here in Burley really helps a lot.
I agree.
And I think we need to thank that poor little gal that takes your money there or whatever,
Right.
Thank her. Maybe she'll tell her boss that people are grateful for what we're doing.
Yeah, and I want to stress, I only said 48 states. We're the lowest of the 48 contiguous states. Of course, we aren't as high in prices as Alaska or Hawaii, but still, it bothers me that we're paying more than anybody else in the nation on average. And but when the price goes down, yes, we should thank people for a little bit of relief at the pumps. Keith, I appreciate you, man. I got to do... Go ahead.
Just one other thing. California always has the highest gas prices because they have so many different blends.
Well, that's true, but in essence, though, as the last consumer reports came out, we, on average, across the state, were higher than California on many, many locations. So, 48 contiguous states, we had the unwanted ability to be number one, except for the other 49 and 50, Alaska and Canada. Or Alaska and Hawaii. Canada, yeah, we're not going to make them a state yet. Pardon me.
There's always light at the end of the tunnel, but when I looked down there, there was a train coming.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Keith. Thank you. I am glad that gas prices are down a little bit. And again, I apologize. If I ask you what you say this morning, for some reason my feed line is just sounding like a tin can, so speak very clearly and I'll try to follow you. Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Oh, Mandy went a little crazy over there. They said she ordered clothes. Stop in and see just what Valley White has in stock. All the winter coats, Carhartt socks. Have you ever had a pair of Carhartt socks on? I have a pair, and I have two pair. They are the warmest socks I've ever had in my life. Rain gear, boots, they got everything over there for you at Valley White Home and Ranch. All the ice melt, too, because they know we're going to have a bunch of that slippery stuff on the ground here before too long. Don't forget Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. And coming up, don't forget on December 12th, we're going to have our great big Christmas remote over there at Valley White Home and Ranch. Another thing I want to remind you about real quick, along with what I just said with Valleywide, is don't forget Sophie's Chatterbox. What a great place to go have breakfast and lunch at 530 E Street in Rupert. And you better order your Thanksgiving holiday treats right now. I'm telling you, you better get your order in by Wednesday of this week so you can get them for Thursday Thanksgiving. Any type of pie imaginable with homemade crust, homemade rolls, loaves, bread. Oh, they make delicious cookies and cinnamon rolls. I know, because we're going to have some of those at that Valleywide Cowboy Christmas on the 12th of December. You better stop in and say hi to Sophie and Mark right there at Sophie's Chatterbox. Open 6 in the morning to 6 at night weekdays and 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. on weekends. Sophie's Chatterbox on the square in Rupert. Really good food. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Why? And I'm just going to throw this out to you this morning. When you see this agreement that was signed by the United States and Iran, why was there not any demand for the release of Pastor Abedini? There was nothing said about the Boise, Idaho pastor, Abedini, that's being held in one of the most atrocious and one of the world's most heinous prisons in Iran. Nothing. Absolutely nothing said. I have lost any and all respect at all for this administration because they're weak-hearted. They're like just Jell-O. There was nothing about saying, okay, look, we're going to do this deal, but you are going to release Pastor Abedini for doing nothing more than trying to set up an orphanage over there to serve a lot of children in the area with no parents. They said nothing. And I denounce this administration, I denounce President Obama, and I especially denounce John Kerry for not doing the job that he should have done. Good morning, you're on the air.
I'm with you all the way. And with this deal with Iran, I think it's stupid. You know they aren't going to hold true to their bargain. They never have,
Absolutely.
never will.
Absolutely.
They're going to continue to make the bomb just like they have been, continue to progress on it.
Fred, let me just ask something about it. You know, here's the negotiations that should have taken place in very simplified form. You look at these people in the eye, and you tell them, okay, we're going to look at you for 6 months. We're going to watch everything you do. And if you can prove to us that you are going to back off on your nuclear uranium enrichment and not have any nuclear weapons, then we will possibly talk to you about lessening the sanctions. But no, not this administration. We lessen the sanctions right up front and take them for their word. What are we, crazy?
Yeah, we're crazy. We've got a crazy guy representing us, that John Kerry. I can't stand to look at him.
This is completely against our allies. I mean, France.
Why, absolutely it
France turned their nose up at this thing. Of all countries, France said right away it was a dumb deal. And then, of course, you've got Israel, our number one ally in the region. They don't have to adhere to this, and as a matter of fact, they shouldn't adhere to this.
Why, sure not. Absolutely not. No, it's unreal. When I read that, I couldn't believe it.
Well,
here we are supporting an enemy all the way.
Well, unfortunately, that's exactly right. Appeasement. That's nothing more than what it is. Fred, I got to do a commercial. God bless you, man. Good to hear from you this morning.
You bet.
Thank you. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Yes, sirree, Bob. Now with the colder weather here, you want to make sure that you've got all your air filters for your furnaces. Why don't you buy them by the box and save 10%? They've got the great quality air filters for you right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see these good folks today. And remember, they're open at 7:30 in the morning to serve you with warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Really good folks. Caller, I'm going to ask your indulgence just to wait for a moment, please, because I've got to get this in. I also want to tell everybody about the Burley City and local merchants hosting the 3rd annual Christmas Light Parade on Monday, December 2nd at 6:30. Oh, this is going to be good. Lining up at Dworshak School at 6, and then entertainment beginning at 6 o'clock, caroling with everybody at 6:15, and when Santa arrives at Centennial Park, they'll turn on the lights. This is going to be really good with free hot chocolate, donuts, and cookies, and don't forget, support your friends and your neighbors and the local businesses. Shop them first before taking your money out of town. You better believe it. The Burley area merchants, of course, saying Merry Christmas to you. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Nothing's ever going to be done about Syria because they're over there, we're over here. They have plenty of support by the other Muslim nations that are there. And another big thing is they have the Soviet Union backing them, whether a lot of people realize that or don't realize it.
Oh, absolutely, Tony. But let me ask you the question that I stated a few moments ago, or I made the statement. Why was there not one single demand for Pastor Abedini to be released? Why did they overlook him? Why did they shake hands? Why did they cozy up to one another? Why couldn't they have demanded that this man be released?
Well, that's to keep us aggravated and to let them know that they're still in power over there. And we're not going to be able to do anything with those people ever. And the one big thing is John Kerry. That guy has no backbone, and he probably gave the United States away to satisfy Karzai and the rest of that bunch over there in Syria and all the other nations.
Well, I can't argue that. I think the deal was nothing more than idiocy on behalf of us. Appeasement is another word. And quite frankly, I think it was to take away some of the news media away from Obamacare. I honestly think this is another one of those smoke screens from this administration.
That's right. We need somebody like John Bolton back in the
Amen. Amen to that. Hey, my friend, I'll call you after I get off the program this morning. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Running late here a little bit. Caller, I'm going to ask your indulgence. We're going to do the break at the bottom of the hour, and your call will be first right after that break, so stand by, please. Don't go away. Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Hebron, with my dear friend Jim McCall. I'm telling you, they got the Bubba ropes. They've got all the Bubba ropes. They've got all the plowshares. They've got all the Cummins engine oil filters. They've got antifreeze. They've got everything over there. They've got tools. They've got your greases and grease guns. You name it, they've got it for you at Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Hebron. They deliver the goods, 438-8730. It's time, quickly, for the Pacific Steel and Recycling Ag Minute with the Capital Press. Great newspaper. Really a great newspaper. Appreciate those folks. Pacific Steel and Recycling at 320 West Main in Burley and 1987 Highland Avenue in Twin Falls. Here is the Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. Idaho Bean Commission members have voted to create a $1 million endowment that will fund a bean research program at the University of Idaho. But an increase in Idaho's dry bean grower and dealer assessment fee to fund the endowment won't take place until 2015 at the earliest.
The commission had planned to ask Idaho lawmakers as early as 2014 for authority to increase the assessment fee, which is 8 cents per hundredweight for growers and 4 cents for dealers. However, commissioners have now decided to wait until the 2015 legislative session. That will give them time to conduct a grower referendum or survey on a proposed assessment increase. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West's Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Hey, it's still November, and I want to remind you that Pacific Steel and Recycling is still having a canned food drive for the month of November. Bring in 2 cans of food and receive 10 cents more per pound and $20 per ton for iron and tin. Please, and all the proceeds are going to go to the Helping Hands. These are people helping people. Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley, and 1987 Highland Avenue East in Twin Falls. You stop in, see these great folks today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, our president is being played like a young man told me yesterday in our sermon at church, which was our minister. He's being played like a fiddle. We're moving away from Israel. We're setting them up for disaster. And we're setting the world up for disaster. These people never, ever, ever tell the truth. They'll tell any lie. They'll do anything to have their way gotten.
I can't believe...
we are just idiots to listen to them.
Well, we are, and we're nothing more than an appeasing society. Charles Krauthammer is a man that I have a lot of respect for his knowledge on what's going on politically, and here's what he wrote in his op-ed page yesterday in the Washington Post, and I want to read this to you because it's very short, very simple. The point of this treaty, if you will, is blindingly simple, he said. Unless you dismantle the centrifuges and prevent the manufacture of new ones, Iran will be perpetually just a few months away from going nuclear. This agreement, which is now reportedly being drafted to allow Iran to interpret it as granting the right to enrich uranium, constitutes the West legitimizing Iran's status as a threshold nuclear state. All we did is just give them the green light for the next 6 months to progress with uranium enrichment and nuclear reactors. And what are we getting out of it? Nothing more than appeasement, Jerry. This is asinine.
Well, I agree, and it's just, I can't understand how our administration or anybody within our government can be so calloused as to let something like this happen. It makes no sense. If anything, we should double down on our sanctions, double down on what we, want them to do, not the other way.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. As a matter of fact, I think your verbiage is very well said. Tighten up the sanctions, make it even tougher, and say, okay, now when you bow down to us and you say that there's not going to be any more nuclear reactions or reactors or enhancement of uranium, we're going to come in there with inspectors. We're going to check you in 6 months, and then we'll lift these sanctions in accordance with what you have done. But to go ahead up front and say, oh, okay, we trust you, you're good boys, we'll go ahead and lift the sanctions. Jerry, this is complete incompetency.
Well, I think everything we do with the Muslims is incompetency. I think that we are a Muslim-leaning nation now, and it's stupidity because our people are not that way. Our people are Christian-leaning, and I don't think there'll ever come a time in our history, unless it's forced by our Muslim leaders, that we will ever lean that way.
Hey, let me ask you something, Jerry. How many nuclear centrifuges do you think Iran gets to keep and use during the next 6 months? Do you have any idea?
No, I don't. I'm sure it's every one they have.
No, I'm going to put you on the spot here because I'm not making fun of your answer. I just want to see if you and the rest of the American public realizes how big a deal this is. Take a guess at a number of centrifuges that they have in operation right now.
Probably around 1,000.
You're not even close. 19,000 centrifuges. They are going to keep every one of them for uranium enrichment, and we are loony for this kind of a appeasement to them.
Well, I thank you for the education. I will remember that if you ask me it again.
All right, Jerry. God bless you for your thoughts, man. You were spot on. Thank you very much.
You have a wonderful day, and may the Lord bless.
He already has. Thank you. Hey, don't forget the Fairfield Inn and Suites in Burley. I love this advertising idea. They're located at 230 West 7th Street North in Burley, 677-5000. Remember that number for reservations. They've got a holiday special of $85 per night, including indoor pool and hot tubs, free hot breakfast. And so if your friends and your relatives say, hey, we're coming for the holidays, you can say, oh, great, we'll get you a room at the Fairfield Inn and Suites. Share the holidays with your family, not your bathroom. I love that. Can't get them out of the bathroom, so let them stay at the Fairfield Inn and Suites. It'll make everybody happy. Absolutely. Oh, also don't forget the Rupert Tree Lighting celebration is coming up. Oh, my goodness sakes, and they've got some great sponsors that they want me to remind you of. That tree lighting, of course, is going to be happening in the next couple of days, the 29th, as a matter of fact. And whether you're looking for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, stop into the Happy Camper at 102 South Oneida, Highway 24 in Rupert, and always create great memories with King's at 313 F Street in Rupert, and the Gathering Place at 524 6th Street in Rupert, the largest quilting store in Idaho, along with Nancy's Rupert Floral. There are some nice people right there at 508 6th Street, where their bloomers always smell good, and TNT at 424 South Oneida in Rupert. Travis can fix anything and everything except trained planes, because the tracks don't come right to his front door. He's good. And all of this for the Rupert Tree Lighting on November 29th. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Yeah, I had a business trip in Southern California. The gas prices there were just almost identical to what they are here. It's unbelievable. Usually 30, 40 cents higher than we are here. And but another comment, going through the TSA thing, as you well know, it's just totally ridiculous. I mean, they rummage through your luggage, and if you have any kind of operations or any kind of medical devices, they want to put you through these scanners. I mean, it's a total invasion of our privacy.
Yep.
And, you know, you've been through it, and you've been down there, and I'll tell you, the more, it's just so irritating the way these people high-handedly just think it's just great to rummage through your things, and it really gets to me. But
you know what you want to do? You know what you want to do when you go through TSA? I mean this sincerely. You want to make sure that you pack all of your, if you're on the way home, you want to make sure that you pack all your dirty shorts, all your dirty socks, all your dirty T-shirts right on top. I mean, when they open that suitcase up, you just want to see them back up and go, woo! And just let them rummage through that stuff, and I'll guarantee it'll slow them down.
Well, it's sad, you know, after, and Twin Falls is the worst. Twin Falls is the worst.
I disagree.
I mean, as bad as it was, you know, coming back, Twin Falls is horrible. I mean, it really is.
I disagree with you to the extent that as much as I fly, I have always found them to be more courteous and more conscientious. And I'll tell you, the worst, in my opinion, is St. Louis, or it would be O'Hare in Chicago.
Well, anyway, I don't do much flying, and I just wonder, is this a free America anymore?
No.
When you have to go through this kind of stuff. And then, of course, I want to comment, you know, John Kerry, I mean, obviously we're kowtowing to the Muslims, and now they're enriching, and we're going to have, you know, basically we're going to put them in a situation where I think what's going to happen now, Israel's going to take action.
I do too.
They realize that we're not going to help them out. I think they're going to be proactive. I look for Israel to come in there and just level whatever's available over there.
I'll tell you what you do now. Here's a little packing tip for you, Adrian. Honestly, I'm doing this free of charge. I'm giving you some very astute information here. If you have a camera, or if you have some device that you need for your business, or if you've got a pocket knife that you want to take with you, but you're going to pack it in your suitcase, always pack those on the return trip in dirty socks, in your dirty shorts, in your dirty T-shirts, so that they have to reach in and get all that stuff out of there. Just make it as unpalatable as you possibly can.
Well, it's just, I don't do much flying anymore, and the main reason, if I can't drive to it anymore because of the TSA thing, I mean, it's just, this guy wanted to put me in the deal so they could just use the X-ray deal. I said, no way, Jose.
Yeah.
I said, I just was not going to do that. So I go through the pat down, and of course that's a real nice deal too as well. And I mean, it just, and yet these people come through with turbans, and they don't make them take those turbans off.
Amen. Amen.
And
I know.
It's so ridiculous.
I know.
I mean, it's not doing anything other than being an invasion of our privacy. It's all about total government control over our lives. And of course, I just got a notice, and I'll send you an email on it today, about the fact that the war on coal is continuing. I think I sent you a copy of the letter I sent to the president of Idaho Power, and I can tell you, if we don't get with it, folks, and stop the EPA implementing Agenda 21 of the United Nations, we're going to be paying, our power bills are going to be exorbitant and skyrocketing very rapidly.
I got to run, but I appreciate your call. Very good advice this morning. Thank you very much. Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.
I'm not kidding you. That's a tip for the day, folks. When you pack your clothes on your return trip, I honestly do this because I just absolutely am sick and tired of them rummaging through everything, and I have lost. Honestly, I haven't lost. They took them. Many items that I've had in my suitcases, over the years. And so I started wrapping everything in my dirty socks or my underwear, all this kind of unpalatable stuff, put everything in there, and then kind of sit back and you get a chance to laugh, like at some of the smaller airports when they open the suitcase up and they go, whoa, baby, and then they got to go pilfering through everything. I love it. I'm getting even with them. Hey, don't forget, we've got all kinds of great folks that are providing holiday greetings. Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas. And we're going to start things off this morning by saying thanks to Jimmy at People's Quality Packing. You better believe it. What a great guy. I've known him for years, and he wants to wish all of his patrons a very happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas. For all your custom cut meats and wrap, call Jimmy at 436-4557. Good morning, Jimmy. Along with AMI 719 Overland and Burley, look for the big 28-foot wrench over the door. Go nuts over their bolts. I love that. And Certified Pest Control, wishing you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas. Along with the very best of all your pest needs, get rid of them. Call 312-5856. And last but not least, Joe Taylor with Carey and Adams Realty. Buying and selling real estate, one call does it all. This man knows real estate. Joe Taylor, 678-9400. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I think I want to take just a moment here, and I'd like to talk more about this absolutely pathetic deal that was struck between us and Iran. But I want to take just a moment to say congratulations to Hagerman High School, 1A football champs, and Declo High School, 2A football champs for the state of Idaho. Salute! There's a round of applause in the background, and also, I think that's worth a couple of hallelujahs, don't you, Gina?
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
You better believe it. Great kids that really play the game well. Hagerman and Declo, congratulations. And, by the way, Gina, you might want to get on your microphone for a moment. Can we have something that sounds very sorrowful in the background? Do you have anything real quick that you can play?
No.
Or would you like to moan and groan a little bit for what happened to your vandals on Saturday?
You're going to make me cry. Okay, so $900,000 in the bank. That's what I'm looking at, $900,000 in the bank. We lost. We got our butts beat.
There's a very dear friend of ours, and you know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to mention his name this morning.
Fan,
yes, he's a fellow Vandal fan. And the night before the game, I told him, in a jocular manner, I said I would be willing to give you possibly 100 points for the Vandals in their game against Florida State, and he snickered, and I laughed. But it ended up to where I could have given him 65, and I still would have won.
$900,000 in the bank. That's all I'm thinking.
That's all you can say. I felt sorry for him. I really did feel sorry for him because in that second half, Florida State come out and just absolutely used the chalk on the yard markers to wipe them up, and I felt really sorry for him.
Well, and here's my thoughts. And I remember back when the Vandals went to Division I football, and honestly, there was that's when we still had a winning program, and everybody was in on the big push. Honestly, I think we should move back to Division II. We cannot compete in Division I. We just can't. We don't have the program to do so.
Their coach had made the statement while he was down in Florida he was going to do quite a bit of recruiting. May I say it's pretty hard to recruit when you're getting beat 80-14.
And that's been our problem. We don't have a winning team. We haven't had a winning season in a long time, so you cannot recruit those higher-end players when you've got a losing program.
But the bad day didn't stop there.
No.
Boise State lost to San Diego State.
Oh, that doesn't hurt my feelings.
And also, the bad day didn't stop there. Green Bay ended up in a tie with Minnesota at the end of overtime, which is going to cost them a bunch in the Central Division. And then it was a bad night for the Denver Bronco fans last night. Yes. They blew, 24-0 lead? Yes. They blew it.
But see, that bodes well for the Seahawks.
I know. And this is where you'll never let me hear the end of it.
Nope.
You and Randy over at Tires West.
10-1.
You walk into Randy's office over at Tires West, and all you see is Seahawk. Everything.
It's all about the 12th man, baby.
I know it is, yeah. And I got to hand it to them. They got a great team. But I do want to salute Hagerman and Declo. Yes. Congratulations. Two great football programs.
Big games. And honestly, and truth be told, I had a little step-nephew that actually plays on Troy's team. And that's kind of my home area. And so I was kind of going for Troy. I am glad that Hagerman won because they are in, our listening area, but I was really kind of going for Troy.
Well, I tell you what, we've always had some good representation from some tough, really good football teams.
Hagerman is a tough team, and so excited that Declo went on and won again, so big congratulations to all of the boys.
Couldn't agree more. Hey, it's time for a weather update real quick, brought to you this hour by Quality's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Number to call, 733-4910, 4910. Don't forget they've got TVs all over the place, television sets for your home entertainment centers. Oh, you're going to love it, I'm telling you. And they've got increased factory rebates right now on Sony and Samsung. Check it out today at Quality's Electronics. My friends, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Here now, Michael Rogers Weather.
Hey everybody, Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. It's pretty simple as we start a brand spanking 2 week of UV and weather and cold. You're going to see a lot of sun, very little clouds, and if you get up to 45, you'll be lucky. 46 is a pretty good number. The overnight low, you better put a sweater on. So we're going to get down to like the upper teens. 18 is a pretty good number, and it's going to stay that way till tomorrow. You'll start to see some clouds as you work your way toward the holiday, but I think for this week, it's going to be nice. It's going to be cold. Enjoy the weather. Joe, what do you got?
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Brought to you this hour by Quality's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. You know what? I want Gina to get back on the phone for a second. I want to talk to you about another story. Maybe you didn't hear about this. Maybe you did, okay? Are you aware that the United States Postal Authorities have issued their seasonal stamps for Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and a gingerbread house?
Does that represent Christmas?
No. They are not making a stamp this year that says Christmas.
What? No Christmas tree stamp? No snowflake stamp?
Everybody that goes into the post office should slam their fist down on the counter and say, I want to know why you would specifically make stamps that say Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, but not any stamps that say Christmas. I just heard this the other day on the news, and I think people should be outraged and call the headquarters of the postal authorities and demand their heads on a platter, because Christmas is a federal holiday. Christmas is recognized as a Christian holiday also by over 80% of our population, but they're going to amplify Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, but no Christmas.
Okay. I'm on the U.S. Postal Service website, USPS.com. I'm here. And they've got Medal of Honor stamps for World War II. They've got the Global Holiday, which is an evergreen wreath.
Yep.
They have the Virgin Mary and the Child. They have poinsettias.
But are they saying Christmas specifically on any stamp?
No.
Okay.
No.
And they will have
family. They have the Holy Family one.
Yeah, but they're not mentioning Christmas by name anymore. They put out Hanukkah, and you'll find one that says Kwanzaa.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not seeing anything where it says, Merry Christmas.
Yeah. And I'm offended by that because to me it's another slap in the face of taking away the name of what the holiday represents.
They do have one stamp that is a Made in America stamp, and that's the only one that represents, Americanism.
Yeah. Doesn't this bother you, though?
It does.
I mean, Kwanzaa and Hanukkah, okay, for those that want to celebrate that, that's fine. That's fine. But I believe in Christmas, and I'd like to put those kind of Christmas stamps on all the Christmas cards and everything. But to not put the word Christmas on anything, to me, that's just a slap in the face against the real meaning of Christmas.
Yeah, they have gingerbread houses, the Holy Family, the poinsettia, the Virgin and Child, and then they have Santa and his sleigh. But nothing that says Merry Christmas.
No. I'm offended by that. I know it might be small to some people, but it offends me. Okay?
It kind of offends me, too. And I'm sitting here, I'm looking and trying to see if I can find anything. They have holiday ornaments. They have Madonna and the candelabra. And they have the Holy Family keepsake.
Yeah.
And snowflakes for the first day covers. I'm sitting here just scrolling through, and I'm not finding anything that says
Merry Christmas. Yeah. I got to ask you something else, too. Are you aware of what the New York Times came out with this past weekend? I was shocked. The New York Times, as you well know, is one of the most liberal rags, if you will, in the media. I mean, they are very, very well behind Obama and his administration. But, he says, they came out and blatantly denounced Obamacare and said that it is nothing more than redistribution of wealth that lies at the heart of Obamacare. Ooh, that was a dagger to the heart of the Obama administration.
Well, that was a dagger to the heart of any liberals out there.
But basically what it is, when you think about what's happening right now, for those that had good insurance plan programs and liked their insurance programs, now it's a transfer of wealth over to the poor or those without. It's nothing more than a shifting of the wealth to the gimmies and the wannabes, is it not?
It is. Oh, I'm seeing the story that it was put out 5 days ago.
Yeah,
Is that the one
roughly. I think it was like Thursday or Friday.
Daring to complain about Obamacare, New York Times.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to read that story.
You bet. Read it up, and we'll comment later. But I think it's another black mark against what's happening with this administration against us, the citizenry of the United States.
Well, and just so everybody knows, of course, and you know, I've been trying to sign up for the Affordable Health Care Act. I started this process back on October 9th.
Yeah.
I'm still not verified.
You mean, honestly, no, let's be really straight up and honest about this. You started October 9th. I remember on the program when you said that.
Yep.
And you still cannot get on that website?
I still can't. Well, with the help of Dean Cameron, he has actually finished my application process because it's taken hours and hours and hours, and he's just working on this for me because, you know, this is what he does. We still can't get me verified.
Wow. I've got to do a commercial. I'll be back and talk to you about that.
And you've got a phone call.
Okay, I'll take that call in just a minute, caller. Don't go away. Don't forget, get ready for winter. Get ready for snow. Get ready for sludge. Get ready for ice. Oh, you need the winter traction tires. From your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Oh, they've got all the tires, all the tread designs, all the tires designed and pinned for studs, and they've got everything to make sure you get through these highways that are going to get slippery. And also, too, they've got the best in tire chains, the best in batteries, snow wheels, and brake service. Oh, their brake service is number one. Professionally trained technicians, over 30 years experience. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good morning, caller. I got a minute left. Go.
Okay, Zeb, I don't know if you're aware that the NRA and the ACLU have teamed up to bring a lawsuit against the government for their infringement on our personal rights and all the information they can get from our gun purchases and everything else.
Yeah, I'm very much aware of what's happening. And by the way, don't forget to be listening in this morning, I believe at 10:06. We're going to have the author of a book that I recommend highly. It's called Essential Liberty. And the author of that book is Rob Olive. And it's a fiction story, but unfortunately, quote unquote, a lot of what he wrote in fiction is coming to fruition with gun control here in this country. So don't miss this interview with Rob Olive. It's going to be really good at 10 o'clock this morning.
10:06. I'll be listening.
All right, my friend. God bless. Have a good day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
We're going to take a little break right now, and we're going to be back in about 6 minutes with more Zeb at the Ranch. I want to remind you, too, on Thanksgiving Day, November 28th, the 12th annual Free Turkey Dinner presented by Ron and Deb Anderson of Alaska's Best and Leonard and Betty Martin and the Rupert Elks Lodge. Dinner is from noon to 4, and please, volunteers are needed to drive the turkey dinners around all over the place and also to work right there at the Rupert Elks Lodge. And if you need dinner delivered to you, call Alaska's Best at 436-2447. I've got to take a little break right now, and then we will come back with more. Next hour, we've got, of course, Frosty Woldridge and the Alliance Defending Freedom. Joe and Franco, don't miss a minute of it. We'll be back with much more Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday. And don't forget, you still can quickly email me what Thanksgiving means to you. We're going to have the drawing tomorrow for the remaining 2 turkeys. So get those in at zebattheranch@hotmail.com. zebattheranch@hotmail.com. We'll be back in just 6 minutes. Oh, rock and roll. Back again for hour number 2. Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our dear friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, getting you ready for wintertime driving. Along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Hey, folks, I don't kid you when I talk about my great advertisers and sponsors, because they are the best. And if you need, like a dumpster, maybe you need a dumpster over there in various sizes to clean out your barn or your house, your basement, whatever. Maybe you're saying to your wife, hey, got to get this cleaned up, it's a mess. Well, then get one of those dumpsters and then fill it up and then call them and they'll come and get it. These people are always at your disposal. Don't forget all the porta potties. Don't forget the route service. Absolutely the best in trash collection. Call them at 734-6969. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. And some other folks that I really, really appreciate on our program, and they've done so much to help the community. And that's, of course, our friends at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward, the owner and manager. Locally owned and operated, and they serve the families with the best possible support and comfort. And they always uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. And when there's a passing of a loved one, you know that they will do all they can to exceed your expectations, and they believe that every life is worth remembering. So please, please contact them today at 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Some really, really nice people. Well, when you start making a list of really nice people, that, of course, has to be inclusive of this name, and that's my dear friend over in Golden, Colorado, that's ready to take my Zeb at the Ranch steak knife and cut his tofurkey for Thursday's dining. Good morning, Frosty Woldridge. How are you?
Well, good morning, Zebel, and to all the listeners, a very happy Thanksgiving and a joyful celebration of our many blessings here in November and the year of 2013. Always a pleasure.
I guess maybe you're in a little bit of mourning this morning, mourning, because of a debacle with the Denver defense last night. What happened?
You know, on any given night, any given 11 can knock off any other given 11, and they made all the mistakes in the first half, fumbled 4 times, and gave us that huge lead. But, of course, you and I both know a huge lead doesn't make any difference when it comes to you got a whole other half to play. And then we started doing we dropped the one punt. Holiday goofed and let it touch his body and didn't get out of there. And then Ball just literally fumbled it up, and you just go on down the line. And when you're playing somebody like Tom Brady, let's face it, those 2 quarterbacks is probably 2 of the finest quarterbacks to ever play the game, or in the top 10 of the finest quarterbacks. And Tom Brady can do magic, and he did, and we made a whole bunch of mistakes, and we made more mistakes in the second half than they did in the first half, and it cost the ball game, and well, what a whale of a game, Zeb.
Yeah, I know it was. And, you know, I got to tell you the truth. Because I get up at 3:45 in the morning, I wasn't able to keep awake for the entire game. And when I got up this morning at 3:45 and heard the news, I went, oh, darn. I wished I could have seen that game. Hey, I want to get serious right now.
Just a sinking feeling when they lined up to do the last field goal, and of course the guy just drilled it right through the middle. And so the Patriots won the game. It was a whale of a game. I was on my edge of my seat the whole time.
I want to tie 2 subjects together here a little bit, Frosty. You are very, very articulate, and you are the expert when it comes to immigration, illegal aliens, and what this government is and isn't doing and should not do with immigration reform. But let's tie immigration reform into the idiocy and incompetency of this administration with that sick, perverted deal with Iran, with their nuclear reactors and the enhancement of uranium for their nuclear reactors. And this administration is completely out in left field, and I shudder to think what they're going to do with immigration reform, adding more people to our country illegally. We just don't have the money, the economics, or the space, or the resources for all the people that you've been talking about for a long time.
Well, you certainly appreciate that. And ladies and gentlemen, if you care to, beforeitsnews.com, go to the opinion page and or News with Views and or Freedom's Phoenix and Liberty News Online and American Chronicle, all the different websites that I write for.
Right.
I'm doing a series right now, What America Will Look Like in 2050. And that is with the current bill, just the 1965 Immigration Reform Act, the 1986 Amnesty Act. Even if 744 hadn't passed and hasn't passed at this point, we're still going to add 100 million people, immigrants, 100 million immigrants to this country. And the Washington Post just did a piece, and it was about how Speaker Boehner has got to get an immigration reform act so that the Republicans can at least save face and get the Latino vote. I go way beyond that, and I wrote this letter to the Washington Post editors. While emotions run high on the immigration front, no one reports about the final outcome of Senate Bill 744 amnesty that increases legal immigration from 1 million annually to 2 million, along with immigrant birth rates and chain-migrated relatives. The Pew Research Center projects an added 100 million immigrants by 2050 and a total population load of 138 million more people within the United States in the scant 37 years. Attempting to water, feed, transport, house, work, educate, medicate, and sustain that many people can only drive America down to the consequences those people flee in their own countries. Human overpopulation. I charged the Washington Post editors to write about the ramifications of adding 100 million immigrants and a total load of 138 million people to this country in the next 37 years. How will we find enough water, even as we see 7 states facing water shortages in 2013? How will we feed and employ 48 million American citizens right now subsisting on food stamps? If we hope to face a stable and sustainable future, we must reduce all immigration to less than 100,000 annually instead of 100,000 and even as high as 200,000 monthly. Anything more commits us to national suicide. Well, that got to some pretty big names, the Pew Research Center, Governor Lamb, Dan Stein at FAIR, and so forth. And the Pew report tells us that we're going to add 100 million immigrants, did not take into account Senate Bill 744 because it doubles legal immigration. And so if it does become law early next year or whatever, it's going to add 80 million more people within 20 years, even faster than I've talked about. So this thing is insane on every level. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, again, the 3 collective organizations that you can join, capsweb.org, capsweb.org, and, of course, numbersusa.org and FAIR, FAIRUS.org. If you sit around and watch this thing go happen and don't take collective action through those websites, your kids are going to curse you for being so lackadaisical because this thing is that huge. And if you follow my part 9 today, that's at newswithviews.com and beforeitsnews.com, you will see that it's not going to be a pretty future for all of the future generations. I don't care if they're black, white, brown, or red. It's going to be a mess for all of us.
I agree. Frosty, sit tight just for a minute. I've got to do exactly 1 60-second 2 commercials here. I'll be right back with you. Don't forget, Burley Area Merchants Association wants to remind you that the 3rd annual Christmas lighting parade is going to be on December 2nd at 6:30 in the evening, and the entries will line up at Dworshak School at 6 o'clock. Oh, this is going to be fun. And you can sit along the parade route and gather at Centennial Park. Entertainment begins at 6, caroling with everybody at 6:15. Santa Claus is going to arrive at Centennial Park and turn the lights on. Free hot chocolate, donuts, cookies, everything. It's going to be a lot of fun. Don't forget to shop locally right here in your own area and support your local businesses. Shop them first before taking your money out of town. Don't forget the Burley Area Merchants Association 3rd Annual Christmas Lighting Parade on Monday, December 2nd at 6:30. And also, our thanks to Senator Dean Cameron and Todd Seamans. Cameron and Seamans, you better believe it, with life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They can serve you, your family, and your business. Make sure that you've got that security blanket around you with the best of coverage, and they know the coverage, too. 436-4424, the number to call. For Cameron and Seamans Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, they are the professionals. You know, Frosty, I think to put this in perspective, when you look at a map of the United States of America, just sit back and stare at a map, and then look at whether it's San Francisco, Chicago, Bozeman, Montana, Twin Falls, Idaho, Denver, Colorado, and superimpose 138 more million people, 1/3 additional to our population already in this United States. Where are we going to put them?
Well, that's the great tragedy of this whole thing. Nobody's thinking about that. Not the Washington Post, not the Washington Times, not the not the Wall Street Journal, not the Denver Post, not the Los Angeles Times, which already is completely sunk under a massive load of 10 million people in the basin there. I think it's closer to 15 million. And when you think of the traffic jams that are in Chicago, I mean, and ladies and gentlemen, you know that as a teacher, I drove for 25 summers an 18-wheeler through all of America's cities, 48 states and Canada, delivering furniture, and sometimes I even get letters from people that actually remember me as their driver. They couldn't figure out how a teacher was driving a truck. But the understanding is, and you have to appreciate this, I saw the metamorphosis from 193 million people back there in the 60s. I got to see the jump to 300 million, and I got to see the unbelievable ramifications and clogging and the air pollution and people's lives completely changed by adding that extra 100 million in the last 40 years. And to think that we're about to add another 100 million within 30 years or sooner. You must, Zeb. I mean, it's beyond comprehension how anybody would want another doubling of Los Angeles, a doubling of San Francisco, a doubling of Seattle, a doubling of Chicago, a doubling of New York, Atlanta, Miami, Cincinnati, Houston, and think that we're going to survive this thing with any semblance of water, of energy, of quality of life and standard of living. It's amazing to me, but as I have on all my commentaries, ladies and gentlemen, I've got 20 email and websites to go write your letter, and write your letter to Matt Lauer to the Today Show, Charlie Rose on his show, to the Dateline and Primetime. You and I, the American citizens, have got to push this issue to the forefront, because if you don't, this Congress is so full of idiots. They're intellectual troglodytes. They don't even know what they're doing, and they have no concept whatsoever of what they are bequeathing to future generations. So I highly urge you, and again, those three organizations, capsweb.org, numbersusa.org, and fairus.org, that's your power. But your other power is to write these letters to the editor, and it's at the bottom of each one of my commentaries, I give you all the addresses to do that.
Yeah, but Frosty, let's just let people that are driving down the road with both hands on the steering wheel just try to drink this in through their ears. In 37 years, to add another third of our population, over a third of our population, 138 million people, and we don't have the jobs, we don't have the food, we don't have the water, we don't have the housing, we don't have the land, and if we take the land away from agriculture to put housing on it, what are we going to do to grow the food to feed these people? I mean, it's like if the left hand doesn't get you, the right cross will kill you. This is absolutely insane.
Well, it's a new definition of an insanity, and I want to really drill in on that, what you just said. It's called the ecological footprint, and the ecological footprint in Ethiopia is 4/10 of an acre to feed a family and water them and house them and so forth. In the United States, you have to destroy 25.4 acres in order to add one more human being to the United States to support them with food and track housing and roads and all that. So if you take that 100 million immigrants, or you take the 138 million, well, this is for a simple source here. Just take the 100 million times 25.4 acres destroyed to support each one of those 100 million. That's 2.54 billion acres. If you add the extra 38 million, you're talking 3 to 3.5 billion acres of land. That's wilderness. That's arable land. That's cropland that has to be destroying the wilderness. Ladies and gentlemen, 3.5 billion acres of land has got to be crushed and taken out of the wilderness just to feed and house and water and all the other things to do with all of these extra 138 million people. It's another definition of insanity. I'm amazed that guys like Joel Kotkin and Jonathan Love and all these guys, nincompoops, can sit here and say how wonderful it's going to be. You would think that guys like George Will and some of the other Thomas Friedman would be writing about this, saying, my God, we've got to address this thing because it's going to be so huge that there's no way to sustain it. And right now we're like the Titanic. We're sailing along, but I guarantee you, folks, we are going to hit a demographic iceberg within the next 37 years, and even before then, that's going to be cause problems that are irreversible and unsolvable. And like the Titanic, once you hit the Titanic's iceberg, there's no way you can't bail enough water fast enough to stop the North Atlantic from sinking the boat. And that's exactly what we face, if you want to use that metaphor.
Yeah, but I'm sitting here thinking, my goodness sakes, okay, let's take the left versus the right hand. On the left hand, they say, oh, come on to America. We'll provide the American dream for you. Come on in. 137 million people in 37 years, 138 million, whatever the figure might be. But without the jobs, without the infrastructure, without the food, without the housing and everything else, we have created an enormous welfare state that is going to bring down society. You don't have to worry about the distribution of wealth going from rich to poor. We'll all be poor.
That's correct. We will all be poor because right now, with 48 million on food stamps, assisted housing called Section 8, free breakfasts and lunches for their kids, and they just keep multiplying their kids. The WIC and the Aid to Dependent Children. I mean, that's all out of your wallet, ladies and gentlemen. Can you imagine 100 million people coming from Somalia, coming from Ethiopia, coming from Sudan, coming from India, coming from all of these poverty-stricken countries, all these failed states? How would you like to take all of Haiti, all of that 95% illiteracy of that population, and bring it all into America? Do you think it's going to become productive? Do you think it's going to become contributing? Do you think it's going to all of a sudden get into an educational realm and just be a superstar star student? And, of course, the answer is no. And as I've said, and I'm going to write a piece that is going to be called America, the Schizophrenic Society. We are multiculturalizing ourselves to such a point that we don't even know what we stand for or what our culture is all about and what our ethos is. And adding another 100 million immigrants from all over the world will make us a mega schizophrenic society, besides one that's highly illiterate and dependent on the welfare state. But at some point, those dependents will overwhelm our ability to feed, house, and water them, Zeb.
You add, now I'm just sitting here thinking and prognosticating in my mind how serious this problem could be. But you take like the 48 million that are on food stamps right now, and you add another 137 million with no jobs, no place to live, basically in welfare status. You're creeping upwards of getting over 200 million and 220 million people that are dependent upon the government for their existence, and that does not count the additional labor force that has to be accrued and paid for through taxes for law enforcement and other programs. I mean, this is horrendous.
Now you're starting to get exactly what I'm talking about. Well, I talk about the water shortages in this series. I talk about the illiteracy rates. I talk about, look at Detroit right now. Detroit is part of, and Chicago. Detroit and Chicago are perfect examples of the great society that was created by Lyndon Johnson. There are now 5 generations of welfare-dependent people that go from generation to generation, living on welfare, living on food stamps, living on Section 8 housing, living on their heat's paid for by the taxpayer, which is you and me, folks, and they have no concept. They have no concept of education, personal accountability, or personal responsibility. They live as a way of life on welfare, and they stare into the TV every single day of the year. They are useless to themselves. They are useless to the society, and they are literally spending all your money. There's even a YouTube. There's some minority YouTube videos out right now about how the EBT card is being used. That's the electronic benefits transfers card. That's a food stamp card, and they're just like credit cards. So nobody has any shame or anything. They don't pull out food stamps anymore. They pull out their EBT card. Well, the videos show how they scam the system, how they sell the food, how they get more, and they literally, the scamming is just unbelievable. They're even shipping food down into the Mediterranean or into the Caribbean because they're using the EBT cards. So again, in the end, this thing's going to collapse around our ears, and when that happens, we will be just like, pardon me, like the Titanic. No amount of bailing will save us from the onslaught. And when that 138 million people hits, ladies and gentlemen, we all get to be victims instead of survivors.
You know, you've really amplified your thoughts on this program many, many times. Boy, I'm a believer, because when you start doing the thinking and the math and looking at the infrastructure of this country, I'm out of time right now, but believe me, I am one of your disciples and believers in this, Frosty, and we'll do all that we can on this program to try to enlighten people. In the interim, until next week, I want to extend to you and your lovely wife and your family a very, very happy Thanksgiving. One of my Thanksgiving prayers is that I'm very blessed to have people like you on my program, and I certainly wish you the best.
Well, thank you, Zeb, and a happy Thanksgiving to everyone across Radio Land and across America and even across the world. We can help through our minds and critical thought and actions to make this a better country and make the world a better world. And the key is every one of us must participate, and I thank you for that opportunity here on on your radio show, Zeb, and to you and Deanna and your whole family, God bless and Godspeed.
And it's going to give me at least a little solace and peace of mind knowing that you're going to cut the tofu with my steak knife that says Zeb at the Ranch.
Yeah, I've hung the steak knife, Zeb at the Ranch, right here in the kitchen pantry here. So, I mean, it's an honored place just because it's got your name on it.
God bless you, man. Have a great day and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado. Just a really dear friend. Hey, don't forget, the next Lunch Bunch is going to be at Perkins Restaurant and Bakery on December 5th. December 5th. And our thanks also to Smith's, Food King, Walmart, and Hanson Mortuary for being some of our grand prize drawers. You better believe it. We're going to have gifts from them, gift certificates. Hey, don't forget Perkins Bakery and Restaurant, 800 North Overland in Burley. Oh, every meal is prepared the way you'd cook for your own family, and they've got all the rich cream pies made with 100% real whipped cream. They're delicious. Fantastic fruit pies, mammoth muffins, scrumptious cookies. Oh, you're just going to love all the sweet treats and ice cream. They've got everything. Oh, my goodness, let them do the baking for you at Perkins Bakery and Restaurant, 800 North Overland in Burley. Really nice people. Once again, our next Lunch Bunch will be on December the 5th. Don't miss it. I want to tell you, too, real quick, on Wednesdays we have our Scow's CarQuest Auto and Truck Parts in the driver's seat with Jeff Scow. Man, I tell you what, that guy is so smart, and every detail matters for your driving safety and convenience, and everything you need for your vehicles right there at Scow's. 3 great locations. And don't forget, too, they're now selling the Mahindra tractors, and we're going to be talking about these Mahindra tractors on Wednesday's program, so don't miss it. Get a chance, stop in. They can help you with all your automotive needs. Scow's CarQuest in Rupert, 323 East 8th Street, Highway 25 in Rupert. Scow's CarQuest in Burley, 518 Overland in Burley. And Scow's Big Truck Center at I-84 Exit 211 in Hayburn. Every detail matters. You better believe it. In just a few moments, we're going to be going over to visit with Joe and Franco with the Alliance Defending Freedom, so stand by for that. But I want to remind you, too, that before Thanksgiving coming up on this Thursday, maybe you've got the family coming over. Maybe you should look around and say, oh, well, where are we going to sit, everybody? We need another table and chair set. Or maybe we need some more comfy sofas. Or maybe we need some more recliners. Well, you better stop into Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Why, they've got everything over there. They got all the sofas. They got all the love seats. They've got all the recliners. If you haven't been in to see that display of recliners, you got to get in there. They've got a recliner that'll fit anybody. So you stop in and see them today. All the carpeting, everything is at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to the phone line right now. And with us on the phone is a gentleman that's been here before in the past, Senior Counsel for the Alliance Defending Freedom, Joe and Franco. Joe, good morning to you. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Zeb. Great to be with you.
Nice to have you, sir, as always. Joe, I'm just curious. Number one, what's happening with the, let's say, the cancellation of prayers over in Greece, New York? What's going on with that story?
Yeah, well, we had arguments at the U.S. Supreme Court a few weeks ago, and the arguments went very, very well, and we're optimistic right now. I mean, what it comes down to is Americans should be free to pray, and Americans shouldn't be forced to forfeit that freedom to appease someone who's offended by hearing a prayer, and that's pretty much what's at stake here. You have 2 plaintiffs in that town who said that they were offended by hearing prayer, which is a tradition that goes back from before the founding of this country. So we're very optimistic that the Supreme Court's going to go the right way on this.
Were these 2 people, and you know, Joe, I'm going to get a little testy when I talk about this, because it seems like in the United States today, if the numbers are minuscule, like 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe even at the most 5 people complained, the minority seems to get the grease. In other words, they're the squeaky wheel. Why are we paying attention to these 2 people through their offending? Why can't we go with what the majority wants?
I think it's because we have a judiciary that was just inclined that way. They agreed with these people philosophically, but you're absolutely right. It's not unusual that you've got a good-sized town or city somewhere, and you have literally it's a handful of people. Where that matters, it's one person in the entire city, some offended atheist who has eggshell-thin kind of sensitivity, and they're just angry that other people are praying in their own traditions. And the interesting thing is nobody's forced to pray. There's a ceremonial event like what happened, the first prayer took place September 7, 1774 in the Continental Congress, and it's in virtually every state and thousands of towns and cities. And nobody's required to pray. They invite different people from the community to pray in different traditions. And yet, you have one person who says, well, gee, and the facts in this case, one person said, I think too many people end up praying Christian prayers. I'm hearing Jesus' name too often, and that bothers me. And that's what got converted into a legal theory, and that was really at the heart of the case. Whether it's interesting to put it this way, but it's almost whether there could be Christian prayer before an event.
Okay, now, Joe, this to me has so many far-reaching fingers, if you will, into other areas. If this case is lost so that they can't pray, from your standpoint as a lawyer, what are some of the other things and items and areas that you're really concerned about where there'll be other infringements and other complaints by minorities?
Yeah, and those are happening already. I mean, we're defending lawsuits all over. For example, we're working with the largest military groups in the country because you get groups like Americans United for Separation or American Atheists, ACLU, and others. They're suing because occasionally a military memorial has a cross shape or something like that. And what will happen is the so-called separation of church and state, and there's a proper meaning of that, just not the meaning that they try to shoehorn in it. The so-called separation of church and state becomes this mantra where we actually in practice have hostility against religion. The founders always accommodated religion. They understood the value of religion. It was so important they put it in the First Amendment that Congress, cannot make a law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And what that meant was we're not going to force people to worship a certain way, but we will not have government action that interferes with their ability to worship. So it could be very far-reaching. It could go into, could you even say the Pledge of Allegiance in school now because it's got the dread words under God? Would we have to strike down the national motto, in God we trust? Could it be that we've got to have some sort of gulag type, officially atheistic or secular state? And that's kind of like what people on the other side would like in this case.
Hey, let me ask you this, though, Joe, and I don't mean to sound naive when I ask this, but I think a lot of people are questioning this. On my program, very, very often, as a matter of fact, I've said it to you in the past when you've been on this show, at the end of our conversation, I'll say, God bless, have a good day, Joe, thanks for coming on, we'll look forward to having you back again. And many times I will have people on, and we will have actually a prayer on my program, as I'm going to have Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. Do you foresee that down the road on the public radio airwaves that there will be a policing and try to stop that also?
Well, that's yet another step down the road. Right now, there's got to be some kind of government action. The First Amendment only applies if you've got some kind of government involvement. And so arguably a sort of, a strictly private speech or something like that, wouldn't reach that far. But I do think, though, that once you start in the direction of a hostility toward religion generally, where I think the danger could come instead is then at some point the government says, well, gee, if you have any particular religious belief, if it's not all-inclusive, if it doesn't line up with what government thinks churches should believe, well, we think we're going to have to take away your tax-exempt status. I think what happens is it's a slow erosion of faith in the culture. Because, I mean, really what it comes down to, the founders of this nation, had a view that rights come from God and not from men. And that was a hot philosophical debate back then. It was when Jefferson, who was not among the most devout of the founders, writes, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights." What they were doing was they were repudiating the French version of revolution, which worshipped the state as the highest authority. And the French believe, okay, whatever the government says, the state knows best for you. We can't have anybody with ideas that there are rights higher than the government and the state. They used to actually mock religion. They would go into little villages and dress up women and call them the goddess of reason and ask people to bow to the goddess of reason. And the founders, whatever their religious views were, they were kind of diverse. Mostly, though, in the Christian to deist tradition, they wisely said, look, we don't want government to have a tyrannical hold over people's lives. And the way that we do that is we acknowledge there's a higher source of rights than government. My conscience and my duty to serve God, the way I perceive this, is a higher authority. And you see, there's a sort of a totalitarian instinct that's threatened by that. They don't want people to feel like, oh, there's something higher than us. There's a moral authority higher than government that we expect government to hold to. And so I think it's very profound here that these religious rights actually are what give us the concepts of limited government and the idea that we should throw the rascals out when they're not performing well because there's a higher authority. Mm-hmm. And the people on the other side are threatened by that notion. They want to tell us that they know best what we should be doing and how we should be living.
Joe, what about, and again, this is a probably naive question, but what about someone that works at a government job, and at that job they have a cafeteria, and before they have their lunch at that cafeteria, they say grace or pray before their meal? I mean, are they subjecting themselves to perhaps the same scrutiny and the same stoppage?
Well, under the current law, that would be an overreach for government. They're not going to be able to tell somebody that you can't stop and bow your head. Although, frankly, we saw cases like that. Seniors at a government center going for their meals being told you can't pray beforehand. And fortunately, we got that straightened out. But there are other forms of that we do. Say, the government employee who says, gee, I'd like a Bible on my desk so I can read it during my break time. I'd like a picture up in my cubicle, the same way other people have cubicles. And sometimes you find those issues, that's a sort of a wavy line. It's not always consistent, but it's always pushing one way or another. It's not a set line.
Do you, in your profession naturally, as a legal counsel for the Alliance Defending Freedom, you hear about all these stories before the general public does. You must absolutely be appalled as to what's going on in this country with chaplains not being able to pray with their fellow soldiers, people saying that they have to take at the Air Force, take part of the oath away. I mean, this country seems to be falling apart at the seams right now and catering to the minority that absolutely are afraid of God.
Yeah, and that's so. And I find, like you, I find the military developments really galling. And the thing is, I think you've got some people on the top sort of pulling the trigger on these changes, and it does not represent what the rank and file feel in the military. But just, for example, one of the things that's happened in the military is when they had don't ask, don't tell. Sort of the line that everybody heard was, well, if we do away with don't ask, don't tell, then everybody can serve and nobody's going to question and we'll all get along. Well, what happened was instead, when don't ask, don't tell was rolled back, chaplains were told, oh, by the way, if you belong to one of those quaint religious traditions that thinks that there are limits on sexual behavior of any sort, maybe you need to rethink whether you're going to be a chaplain in the military. So, what's happening is this sort of this personal sexual license, we're being told, trumps religious freedom, trumps, never mind that, Catholic chaplains and Baptist chaplains have, for longer than this nation has existed, had certain views of that they derive from the Bible on sexual relations and sexual morality. They're suddenly being told, well, we've reached a new kind of enlightenment here, and if you can't get with the program, maybe it's time for you to leave the military. Or we had another chaplain who posted an article, commemoration that was called There Are No Atheists in Foxhole. This is a time-honored idea that goes back to World War II, and there's been a lot written on it. And one offended atheist sees this and says, well, that bothers me, it's insulting to atheists, and I want it removed. And initially the military removed it, and then people squawked, and it got placed back. So, yeah, there's this general rolling back, and you're right. I deal with 2,300 of our allied attorneys around the country, even around the world. So I get to see the trends. And the other side is more hostile, more driven, and more focused on these issues than I've ever seen. I've been practicing about 36 years now, and it positively has reached a new level.
I would say this to sum up. I have been to numerous town and city meetings, and I think it would benefit everybody if through some of their idiotic passages, if they were allowed to pray, we'd all be a lot better off.
Yeah, and what do they pray for? Give our officials wisdom, let them have some humility. The problem in Greece came because the Supreme Court said 30 years ago in a case called Marsh v. Chambers that you're allowed to have invocations, that they're constitutional, that this is permissible, this is what the country's been about forever. So this was sort of an effort to do an end run around that. And what they really said in this case was, well, look, okay, you can have prayers, but we think they have to be non-sectarian so nobody feels excluded. Well, that sounds okay, maybe at first in theory. Well, what does that mean, non-sectarian? You don't want prayer bashing anybody or bashing a different belief, but the Supreme Court built that standard into it. The Supreme Court said, don't use this prayer as an opportunity to proselytize or bash another faith. Use it instead as an opening. It gives it a solemn tone. It sort of helps us remember that we are dependent on God who's greater than us, and that's pretty much everybody does it. But what happened in Greece was because most of the ministers in the community who get invited to pray their own way, because most of them are Christian, they pray something like a Christian prayer. So this was how the arguments in the Supreme Court really focused, and why we're optimistic. The Supreme Court said, well, what does a non-sectarian prayer look like? Is there a prayer that's going to be acceptable to, Christians, Jews, Hindus, Muslims, and atheists? And the other lawyer had to say, well, no, I guess not. Well, could you mention God when you pray? Well, he said, I guess so. One of the justices said, well, then wouldn't that offend polytheists? Well, he said, I guess so. I guess polytheists would have to have a problem with this prayer too. And you realize in the end what they're just trying to do is they're trying to make the prayer some kind of muddling, to whom it may concern if anybody's listening. And finally, one of the justices Justice Kennedy, we weren't quite sure where he was going to be on this, he said, it sounds like you're trying to censor people when they pray. And that was exactly the tone we had hit in our briefs and our arguments, so we were very encouraged to hear that. So again, I think that the case is going to come out the right way, just a question where they're going to draw the line.
Absolutely. Listen, and I mean this, God's blessings to you and all of the Alliance Defending Freedom, and quickly tell everybody how they can follow this case and also be very supportive of what you're doing.
Well, thanks so much. Yeah, they can go on the website, which is alliancedefendingfreedom.org. And we will have updates on this and other cases. We do have current developments there on all the cases we're handling. We've got a few interesting cases being presented to the Supreme Court, even now as we're speaking. And, so we're always appreciative of prayer in any way that people want to support us. We are a nonprofit. Everything that we do is free. And we so appreciate you and the way that you cover these stories and bring them to light, because if people are informed, that's really our best defense. So, hey, Hey, God bless you too, and you have a great and happy and blessed Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Joe and Franco, Senior Counsel with the Alliance Defending Freedom. God's blessings. Thank you very, very much. Very nice man right there, very knowledgeable, and talking about the problems with prayer back in Greece, New York, and how a couple of individuals, 2 individuals, have thrown this whole situation into turmoil. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I want to remind you that I know where the fun is sold. It's sold over at Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes, they're open Tuesdays through Saturdays from 9 to 6. And they've got snow machines. Oh, they've got all the new snowmobiles, and they've got the new ATVs, and they've got a showroom just chock full of everything. Man, if you've been over to that showroom, I don't know how they got everything in there. And also, they've got the best in all the accessories for Christmas gift giving. Oh, yeah. And a great parts and service department. It's all there. That's where the fun is sold. Let's Ride. Easy to remember, Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. You stop over and see them Tuesdays through Saturdays. Don't forget the Great Big Rupert tree lighting on November 29th. The Great Big Tree Lighting Festival right there at the City Park. Oh, my goodness sakes. They're always going to have a fun time. Christmas City, you better believe it. And some of the people we want to acknowledge on behalf of the Rupert Tree and Lighting Service over there, we want to remind everybody about breakfast, lunch, or dinner at the Happy Camper, 102 South Oneida Highway 24 in Rupert. And also King's at 313 F Street in Rupert. All the creating of memories right there with King's. Really nice people. The Gathering Place at 524 6th Street in Rupert, the largest quilting store in Idaho. I bet you Deanne's going to go in there. Nancy's Rupert Floral, 508 6th Street, where our bloomers always smell good. Okay, I love that. And TNT at 424 South Oneida. Travis fixes everything except trains and planes, and that's because the tracks and the runways don't go right up to his front door. All right, all those folks, thank you very much, and don't forget all the Great Big Rupert tree lighting right there at Rupert on the 29th. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give us a call. I'd like to talk to you. Talking about Christmas, here's another one. Here's another one where people got scared. People put their tail between their legs, and people ran away. This came into me last week, and I was really upset about it. On behalf of concerned parents, the people that I just talked about a few moments ago and had on the air, the Alliance Defending Freedom, sent a letter Tuesday to a South Carolina public charter school whose band director prohibited, now listen closely to this, whose band director prohibited students from performing the music to Joy to the World and O Come All Ye Faithful. And school officials claim that they received some type, here's the key word, some type of communication from either the American Civil Liberties Union or another group that prompted the ban after students had already begun rehearsing the pieces for a concert. They couldn't even play the music, let alone the words. And they bowed and kowtowed to, they think, the American Civil Liberties Union or another group, instead of standing up and knowing what the law is, knowing what the law does, and knowing what the law provides for the safety of these Christmas carols and Christmas concerts. Yes, you can. And they bowed and kowtowed to these people and told this band and the rest of the kids involved in this Christmas pageant that they couldn't play those songs. When are school administrators going to take the time to grow some backbone and stand up for what is right and shun what is wrong? You know, I hear these stories, they come across my desk all the time. Of all the 13,000 plus school districts, Christmas is constitutional. You do not have to back away with your hat in your hands. You do not have to apologize, and you don't have to change anything. Let me say it again so that they'll try to understand. To the 13,000 plus school districts in the United States, Christmas is constitutional. You do not have to kowtow to these small minority jerks that are trying to destroy it. Enough said. Remember that, please. Excuse me for choking. Oh, by the way, don't forget, you only have till tomorrow to get in your zebettheranch@hotmail.com paragraphs, what Thanksgiving means to you. Now, hurry. Please get those in. I want to have another great big drawing. We had 2 winners last week. We still have 2 more turkeys to give away. Compliments of Valley White Home and Ranch, Ramsey Heating and Electric, and Smith's Food King, and, of course, Zeb at the Ranch. And if you don't know my email, please write this down. It's ZEBATTHERANCH, Zeb at the Ranch, and then the @ hotmail.com, and get those to me. The drawing's going to be tomorrow morning for our final 2 turkeys, so get those in as soon as you can. By the way, Thanksgiving right around the corner, and then, of course, Christmas. And Pro Paint at 1116 Overland and Burley, the best paint and best stains, best advice, always wishes you a happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas. Along with Golden Valley Warehouse at 468 West, 100 South of Burley, locally owned and operated with quality seed at competitive prices. Butte Irrigation at 116 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul, and the new location, 22342 Kimberly Road, right there by north of Kimberly. Congratulations to all the farmers for a great year. And Magic Valley Carpet at 613 D Street in Rupert. May God bless you during this holiday season. And they all wish you a very happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas. Gina, it's been a busy day.
It has been a very busy day.
I just had a comical picture of you frantically grasping and reaching for the headsets.
It's like, put on the headphones, turn the microphone on.
I love it.
It's been a day already. And it's like, for people who don't understand the radio business, this week I have 3 days to prepare 7 days worth of work.
You know, and in fairness to you, and I think you should be highlighted as one of the top female workers of any job in the country. I don't think you get enough praise. I don't think you get enough glory. I don't think you get enough attributes thrown your way for everything you do over there. You literally are the backbone, the quarterback, the coordinator, and everything else of what goes over the airwaves.
I would kind of like to think so. There's, everybody has their part to play, but it all basically comes down to me because I'm the one that makes sure it happens.
You know what I forgot to do this hour?
You forgot to do weather.
I know I did, and I apologize for that. And we'll take a little time right now and tell everybody the weather's brought to you by, have you ever been to this place? Magic Valley Chalet in the Upper Crust?
Love it.
Oh, I love that place. 1367th Street in Hayburn, and believe me, they've got all kinds of great cheese, all the Gosner cheese platters, cheese balls, gift baskets are 20% off through Thanksgiving, and they can customize and deliver locally. You're going to love it. I love the Magic Valley Chalet in Upper Crust, 1367th Street in Hayburn. What a great place. And now, here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hey everybody, Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. It's pretty simple as we start a brand spanking 2 week of you, me, and weather and cold. There's a lot of sun, very little clouds, and if you get up to 45, you'll be lucky. 46 is a pretty good number. The overnight low, you better put a sweater on. So we're going to get down to like the upper teens. 18 is a pretty good number, and it's going to stay that way till tomorrow. You'll start to see some clouds as you work your way toward the holiday, but I'm seeing for this week, it's going to be nice. Yeah. It's going to be cold. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy what you got.
There you go. Michael Rogers' weather brought to you this hour by our friends at the Magic Valley Chalet in Upper Crust, 1367th Street in Hayburn. Oh, and don't forget your Burley area Merchants Association. My goodness sakes, they're going to have that 3rd annual Christmas light parade on Monday, December 2nd at 6:30. Don't you forget the entries of the parade will line up at Dwarshett School at 6 o'clock. Caller, I'll be right with you. And don't forget then that Santa arrives at Centennial Park. He'll turn the lights on at about 6:15. Oh, there's going to be goodies, all kinds of hot chocolate and cookies. And don't forget to shop locally. Shop them first before taking your money out of town. The Burley Area Merchants Association wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Gina's unexpected. She's real great, ain't she?
Well, yeah.
Okay, Gina. Ask for a raise. Have a good one.
Bye, Al.
He's so subtle.
What do you got? Your own little network of people that want to antagonize me over there?
Heck yeah.
I don't blame you a bit. No, you do a great job, and we should tell everybody, though, that we are not going to be on the air Thursday morning because of Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're going to be cutting the turkey?
Actually, we are going to be traveling. I do believe we're going to go down to St. George and then over to Mesquite.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where it's possibly 30, 40 degrees warmer.
We do have nice weather here in the forecast, but I'm looking for slightly warmer.
Slightly? Oh, yeah.
Slightly warmer.
I would not be a bit surprised if you could put on the shorts and a little suntan lotion.
That would be nice.
Aha. We're going to take a little break and come back, and I'm really looking forward to the next hour. We got author Rob Olive with his book called Essential Liberty at 10:06. Don't go away, anybody. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday. Good morning, and thanks to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with, of course, some great advertisers on this program, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and, of course, our friends at Western Weight Services, always at your disposal. Call them, get on the route service, 734-6969. Before we go to our guest, I have to get a couple of great words in, and I want to say thank you to 2 great sponsors of our segment on Thursdays called School Days in Cassia County, and they include A Child's World at 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley, and believe me, you can shop online at achildsworldinburley.com, and they've got hundreds and hundreds of wonderful dresses for the ladies, and if you mention Zeb at the Ranch, you can save $5 on each dress. Get in there and shop today, and they've got all the wonderful gift ideas from babies all the way up to family games, free gift wrapping, and layaway. Oh, yes, I messed that up. A Child's World, 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley, along with Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Colonoscopies can save lives. Call the Ambulatory Surgery Center for more information today. And don't forget, for over 14 years, the Ambulatory Surgery Center of Burley has saved area families thousands and thousands of dollars. 677-8888. 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County. Also, I want to remind you about the Chadwick Sports Grill. Oh my, 139 West Main in Burley. They've got luncheon specials every day, Monday through Friday at just $5.95, and senior citizen dinner specials Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m., only $5.95. What have they got on the menu for today? Delicious BLT sandwich, fries or tater tots, soup or salad. It's going to be good. Always is at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now, we're going to go to the phone lines, and I get a chance to visit with a gentleman that I had on my program quite a few months ago. And he is the author of a book... Okay, thank you, Gina. He's the author of a book called Essential Liberty, and this is, beyond a doubt, one of the best books, a thriller, that I have ever read in my life. And Rob Olive, congratulations and kudos to you. This is an excellent book.
Sorry, I was a half hour ahead. Let me call him.
Oh, okay, please. All right. We're going to get Rob Olive on the phone, and we'll have him on the air with us in just a moment. That gives me just a little moment to tell you, get your Why Thanksgiving Means So Much to You paragraphs in today. We're going to have the drawing tomorrow. All you have to do is just email those to me at zebattheranch@hotmail.com, and we're going to have the drawing tomorrow. Thank you very much to Valley White Home and Ranch, along with Ramsey Heating and Electric, Smith's Food King, and also Zeb at the Ranch. So please get those into us right away. While Gina's on the phone trying to get our guest all set up, I want to remind you, some of these great folks want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and also a Merry Christmas. Minnecasia Chamber at 1177 7th Street in Hayburn, and they've got a great gift shop over there. Stop in, and you'll find exactly what you're looking for that was made in Idaho at the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce. Along with Redder's Showcase at 2611 Overland Avenue in Burley. Great big countdown to the holiday sale. You better believe it. They got the Stanton Furniture and Whirlpool, Maytag. It's all there for you. Stop in to Redder's Showcase. nice, along with gift certificates and garden gifts. Would be the perfect gift for the outdoor person on your Christmas list, and that's with Vicky at Vicky's Country Gardens. Call her, 438-5663. And also, don't forget my dear friend Colonel Dale and all the books, all the gifts, all the arts, all the crafts, and all the places to go to right here at the Book Plaza at 222 West 11th Street in Burley. And they wish you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas. Let me check my text. I'm getting all kinds of things. And here we are now. As I said just a moment ago, very, very happy to have this man come back on our program from months ago when I first received his book called Essential Liberty. It is one of the best books that I've ever read. Rob Olive, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm happy to be on with you this morning.
Well, I'm going to start things off by saying if this book, it held my attention from beginning to end. It was very well written, very well put together. But I guess to not give away too much about the book, I want to discuss it a little further this morning. Why? Why did you write this book, Essential Liberty? Why did you choose this kind of a storyline to write about?
Well, first of all, I started writing it, almost 14 years ago now. So, that takes us back to, I was actually prior to the famous disputed election of 2000, the Bush-Gore election, a couple of years before that, really, that I had the idea. So it has nothing to do with what we see currently going on as far as gun control and some of the tragedies and the way they've been exploited. The problem's been with us for an awfully long time, as you know, and I'm sure most of your listeners know. So it was something, I wanted to write a novel. That was part one. And I felt like I had to tell this story specifically because liberty and firearms rights in particular are so close to my heart. I just didn't feel like I'd be able to get through my first novel unless it was about something that I was passionate about. So that's why this story, I guess.
But I got to tell you something, Rob. You and I have never met formally, but just on the phone. But for lack of better words, the premonition that you had about this possibly coming to fruition, you are almost spot on in this book as to what's occurring today.
Well, thanks, Zeb. I can assure you I don't have any. I wish I did have, was able to see the future. I wouldn't have made some of the mistakes I've made in my life. But, the thing is, like I said, it's been with us certainly since the 1960s, is where this real push by the left to outlaw every type of firearm they could began. And that, not coincidentally, that's the same time I would argue, they started trying to control so many other aspects of our lives with Great Society programs and that kind of thing. So maybe there's a connection there. But, the things that are occurring today, the things that occurred, tragedies like Sandy Hook and so forth that have been their latest excuse to try to curtail our freedoms are going to continue. The tragedies will continue, but their efforts will also continue. They're sort of underground a bit right now, and we seem to have won the last little battle or part of it, but it's going to come back up, and we're going to have to remain vigilant. And I think too many gun owners and liberty-minded people kind of get, a little lazy, for lack of a better word, in terms of staying vigilant and fighting the good fight.
The progression of your characters in the book and their backgrounds and the tying of everything together was absolutely impeccable. I thought it was outstanding. I want to say this right now before we conclude the interview. What about the book sales? How are they going? And I urge people to try to find this book. Where is it being sold, and how can they obtain a copy?
Sure. Well, you get it online at either Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. Amazon's probably the best way to go get it. It's available in Kindle format for ebooks and also for Nook format on BarnesandNoble.com. But on Amazon, you can buy a paperback version. You can buy a beautiful hardcover version. or you can buy both.
Attaboy.
The sales are going well. They really are. They're remaining consistent still. It's been out for about a year and a half already, but sales are remaining consistent. And also, I would encourage people to go to my website, which is www.robolliveauthor.com, and you can buy the book. You can link to Amazon or wherever else through my website. It tells you a little more about me. You can read my blog posts on there. Again, that's RobOliveAuthor.com. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter as well.
I'm not going to give anything away about the plot, naturally, but in the beginning of the book, and this is why I think we can talk about this, you talk about the government, the United States government, passing and then trying to implement the Family Protection Act. When you wrote this book, boy, oh boy, there again it's going to go to the premonition. Did you have any idea how close you were to what might come to fruition?
No, I mean I didn't. We got closer to that kind of thing happening, honestly, back in January of 2013, February of 2013 here than we were when I wrote the book. So I guess it seemed more like fiction than it does now, to tell you the truth. More like fiction when I wrote it than it does now. But if you think about it, the Family Protection Act, FTA, they want to have acronyms. They want to have something that sounds innocuous. Who could not be in favor of protecting families?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be the way that would be sold. And so, as part of the so-called Family Protection Act would be this getting guns off the streets. And so that's what they do to us today as well. I mean, how could you be against protecting families? Well, I'm not against protecting families. What I'm in favor of is protecting our individual liberty. Would be my response to that. But short answer to your question, no, I wasn't. I really didn't expect it would be as close to reality as it has become, unfortunately.
Rob, when you finish this book, and now you see what's happening every day, you see the twisted gun barrel at the United Nations, you see the United Nations and their treaty with the United States and John Kerry on possibly more gun control in the future. What are your major concerns? I know that you wrote this in fiction, but again, I'll go back to reality. What are your biggest concerns right now about what's happening with our Second Amendment here in this United States?
Well, I tell you what, my biggest concern in that area, Zeb, to be honest, is not so much the UN effort, although that's there, and it's not really even so much what happens at the federal level, like it did in my book. My biggest concern is what's happening in certain states, and because we tend to keep our eye on, as a country, keep our eye on what's happening nationally or internationally in the case of the United Nations. But there's a whole lot of danger in what, if you live in Colorado, if you live in Maryland, if you live in New York, obviously with the passage of the so-called SAFE Act, which there again, to get back to the acronym, or a handful of other states, it doesn't really matter what they do federally. You've already got legislation that curbs your rights.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think we need to help our brothers and sisters in affected states. I think, we needed to just really keep our eye on the ball there. But I think that can do more damage to people. And as that grows and as more and more states adopt that, then it becomes a national movement that we have to worry about. So I'd say let's keep our eyes on the local battles and not worry as much about the federal as we are now.
Rob, would you say, of course I'm very, very concerned on this program about the encroaching government control over all of us, like kind of an amoebic cell that turns cancerous. Would you say that most Americans today, younger Americans, are being duped into thinking that the government is the all-encompassing, they can do everything for me, I can just sit back and let them be my security blanket, and that scares me? Does that scare you?
Absolutely, and I mentioned the 1960s, and I think that's where it really started. That movement really started to pick up steam for the government to be the answer to everything. As Medicare and Medicaid and all these things roll in.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those programs may be good, may be worthy, but the point is they all create dependency on government, and The next book I'm working on, actually series of books I'm working on, is going to be more broadly encompassing dependency on government and as opposed to firearms rights, because I think that's the ultimate answer. If we become trusting of, whether it's Obamacare or whatever it is, if we become trusting of government to take care of us, we've handed over our liberty. They didn't have to take it. We've handed it over to them. So that's another thing we need to keep our eye out for.
I think the two words that come out of your book and hit me in the face, and maybe you won't agree with this, but two words that were kind of a byline on almost every page in your book were the words power and control. Would you agree with that?
I would. I'm glad you picked up on that, and I because that's what it's all about. Again, whether it's gun control, Zeb, or whether it's financial dependence or whatever, healthcare dependence, it's about power and control. Some people in the leftist or statist movement truly have our best interest at heart. I won't argue with that. Some people are true believers. They really believe that the government is the only entity that can, that can take care of us. I think that's ridiculously naive, but I think some people fall into that category. But others, especially politicians in that movement, are there because there's no better way to gain control and therefore power than to have people dependent upon you. You can count on their vote forever, and you can get away with almost anything, as we've seen, if people are dependent upon you.
But then also, the other word that could fit into that phrase is the abuse of power and control, and that basically was the kind of the cracked egg in your book, as a matter of fact. People that wanted to abuse the power and control for their own personal gain, and boy, we see that in every aspect of government today.
Sure, you're absolutely right. And if we go back historically and look at other countries, it's amazing. I'm researching for my new book, and I'm looking at the former Soviet Union, especially under Joseph Stalin, but even as it began under Lenin. You can look at Mao's China, you can look at Castro's Cuba, you can look at all these places and what those tyrants and others before them and after them did in those places to their people. Millions of people slaughtered. That was nothing. I mean, if we just focus on Stalin's Soviet Union, the literally many, many more people than Hitler was ever responsible for killing died under Joseph Stalin. And that was a classic example of abuse of power and control. He had full control over people's lives. He could do whatever he wanted. And if he wanted to wipe out an entire class of people, he could do it because it made him more powerful to do so. And so, yes, that's an extreme example, but I think it's naive for us as Americans to look at those examples and say, well, that could never happen here. Mm-hmm. My question would be, why can't it happen here?
Absolutely.
Well, because we're not a communist country, but agreed. But we have tendencies. People have the same tendencies here, both those in power and those who are dependent, as they did in the former Soviet Union, I would argue.
I would think that almost anybody that reads a fictional story or a book and the different characters in the book, you as a reader can always find somebody in your mind that you've known through high school or college that fits those different characters. Now, did you know some of the people that you turned into characters for your book?
I did. I had a person in mind for Nick Larson, who we don't meet until later about halfway through the book, but who by the end you could argue becomes the primary protagonist. And I did, as far as Don goes, the businessman who is a I think he's sort of an everyman. We meet him in chapter 1, but here's a guy who followed the rules his whole life, never did anything wrong, worked hard, was a good family man, never owned a gun in his life, couldn't really understand why people cared to, but he was a good man. It wasn't important to him to protect gun rights. He didn't see it as being part of an overall bigger picture. There were a couple people in mind who I had in mind when I wrote that character. And again, not bad people. They just didn't pay the kind of attention that I think we should all be paying to things that affect other people but not us. That was the thrust with Don's character. was, that which doesn't affect us doesn't matter to us. So we're not going to fight for it. I'm not going to fight for your right to do something that I don't care to do. I think that is a dangerous, dangerous way of looking at things, and that's why bad legislation comes down the pike and gets written into law.
I called Rob a couple of days ago and complimented him on an excellent book and asked him if he'd come back on this program. And my final question to you this morning would be, Rob, not to mention any names of the characters in the book or elaborate, but boy, you left the door open for an exciting sequel. Is that going to happen?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, Zeb. I had intended to, and someday I may. But I will tell you this, I mentioned in the beginning of the interview today about, I wrote this story because I was passionate about it. And I with everything else going on in my life, I think that the only way right now I'm going to get through another novel is to have that same kind of passion. And what I'm passionate about right now is a general state of dependency, like we've discussed, and what that might lead to. And so I'm with the next book. Short answer is my next book will not be a sequel to Essential Liberty as I had originally intended it. But that door is still open. There will be a new character, and I'm very excited about him. And the story's going to move forward in time a bit and take a look at where we might be headed. So short answer, no. I don't mean to be evasive about it, but I still love those characters, and I do want to come back to it. I just feel like I need to tell a different story now that requires a little different take on things. I certainly hope that no matter what the book is, that you'll please give us a little foreboding so that we can do an interview on the air and then also talk about the copy of your next book. And I wish you continued success. I hope it goes great. Once again, Rob, tell everybody where they can obtain a copy of the book Essential Liberty. I highly recommend it. Thank you, Zeb. Sure. Well, probably the best way is just to go to my website, which is roboliveauthor.com. www.roboliveauthor.com. You can there get links. There's a Buy the Book tab where you can go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Books A Million online and grab it. So it's online available, but it is available in paperback, hardcover, and ebook, and both Kindle and Nook. Or you can go straight to Amazon.com if you've got an account set up there and just click on it and purchase it there. But,
absolutely.
I appreciate the support very, very much, and I hope your readers all have a wonderful Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Rob Olive, you are one of the best. I really appreciated that book, Essential Liberty, and when everything finalizes on the next one, call us. We'll put you on the air.
I will get you a copy of it, and I look forward to doing that.
All right, thanks, Rob. God bless. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Take care. You too, Zeb.
Thank you. Really, really great book. I highly recommend this book. It'll open your eyes and make you more aware of what really is going on in our world today. Essential Liberty by Rob Olive. I can't stress enough how good that book was. Excellent. Let's see. Don't forget, what have I got here real quick? December 2nd, the Rupert Community Blood Drive for the American Red Cross is going to be going on, and you can give the life-saving gift of blood at the Rupert Community Blood Drive, going to be held at the Praise Chapel Church at 1110 8th Street in Rupert from noon to 6 on December 2nd. Don't forget that. Also, talking about Rupert, I want to remind you about the Rupert Bookstore and Office Supply at 515 5th Street, south side of Rupert. Don't forget, oh my goodness, they've got everything going on over there at the Rupert Bookstore, all the jewelry, all the scarves, all the clothing, all the books, all the everything. They've got it for you. And they want to remind you, coming up this week, the Christmas lighting on the square in Rupert, and the bookstore will be open that evening from 6 to 9 p.m. with store-wide sales in the store. Don't miss it. Nice people at the Rupert Bookstore and Office Supply, and they're located at 515 5th Street on the south side of the square in Rupert. Really good folks. We're going to take a little break and come back in a couple of minutes with more. Zeb at the Ranch, don't you go away.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Thank you very much. Don't forget, coming up, the third annual Christmas Light Parade. It's going to be on Monday, December 2nd at 6:30, thanks to our friends at the Burley Area Merchants Association. This is going to be so much fun. It's going to be a nice parade route and gather gathering at Centennial Park. Don't forget, Santa is going to arrive at Centennial Park and turn on the lights at about 6:15. It's going to be a lot of fun with free hot chocolate, donuts, cookies, everything. Vendors will also be selling food and gift items, and some stores will be open that night till 8 o'clock. Don't forget to work and shop through your local businesses with Burley Area Merchants Association, and always supporting you. You support them during our holiday time in the Burley area. Thank you so much. Okay, Gina's on the phone with me. I'm trying to do three things at once. You know, Gina, I'm not very good at multitasking sometimes, looking at phones, reading text, doing commercials, and trying to figure out what's coming up next. Are you there, my dear? She's probably on
here. I've got Fred on the phone. I think Fred wants to chit-chat with you, and your guest has not called.
Okay. All right, we'll wait. And Fred, good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Hey, I can't hardly hear you.
I said, how are you, my dear friend?
Hey, what I'm calling about, I just read about the immigration getting after these Romanians up in Haley for immigration fraud. Now, why are they spending the money getting after them people when these Hispanics are coming in here illegally and running rampant? That's what I can't understand, Zeb. I'm Mobile is one of the reasons that we can't connect to it.
I see. Well, hopefully you can hear my response on this. I think the whole immigration or absolutely degradation of our immigration process is because of the fact that we're not prosecuting, we're letting some in the system, we're taking care of others. This whole thing is ridiculous. And going along with what Frosty said in the 9 o'clock hour, Fred, we have got to turn the screws tighter to stop so much of a absolute open border policy. We cannot afford right now, with our economic downturn in this country, taking in literally millions and millions more people per year. We haven't got the infrastructure, we don't have the food, we don't have the water, we don't have the housing. I do not know what's the matter with our immigration system.
Well, I'll tell you, it burns me when they get after them people and let them others come in by the millions.
I agree. God bless you for your call. I'm losing you, Fred, on your cell phone. Thank you so much for your call this morning. I agree.
You betcha.
Thank you, sir. As Frosty said at the 9 o'clock hour, we've got to make some severe changes. There's no way. Think about this. 138 million people coming into this country, very, very possibly in a short span of 35 years. And we're going to add at least over a third more to our population than what we have now. Where are the jobs going to come from? Where is the infrastructure going to come from as far as the housing and the schools and everything else? Where is the money going to come from? Where are the police going to come from? I mean, the list goes on and on as to how we're going to possibly support 135 million more people in that short span of time. But economically, we can't. There's no way you can, unless we lose our status and we sink to lower than a third-class, third-world country. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It looks like our guest is not going to be calling in for this hour. Gina, I've got a couple questions for you this morning. As a mom of a young student, the more I read, and I'm going to be very careful about how I word this because I haven't come up with my final edict on this yet, but the more that I read about Common Core education, the more I am going to emphatically say I am against it, and it's almost turning into, like what I heard one pundit say on the news early this morning, Obama Core. Instead of Obamacare, this might be part 2 of another thing to worry about, Obama Core. Are you aware that in Texas, there is a new book out, and it's going into all the classrooms, and it's called Environmental Science? And scientists and other teachers from around the United States have looked at this book and said, wait a minute, you can't put that book in the classroom. It's full of untruths, basic lies, and it's full of anti-scientific fact. You can't be teaching our kids that stuff. And basically the Texas School Board, School of Education, whatever the policy name is for their board, they said, tough. This book's going to stay in the curriculum, and that's what we're going to teach. To me, that is absolutely advocating an agenda instead of fact.
Oh, it is completely advocating an agenda. I'm completely against Common Core for a multiplicity of reasons. I think that it's all a way to dumb down the American population by teaching mistruths, by not supporting the facts of science that is out there. I'm completely against Common Core. I wish that they would just get rid of it because it's not doing our students any sort of good.
Well, the more I read and the more I study about it, and I'm going to be doing a segment on this in next week's program, not during Thanksgiving week, but next week.
Right.
And I'm going to have some national people on. We're going to devote the whole day to Common Core, the pros, the cons, and the likes and dislikes. And we're basically going to let the audience make up their own mind on this.
Yeah.
But right now, I would say if I had to lean one way or the other, I'm going to say that I'm 80% against it and 20% I'm still not decided.
I say I'm like 99.9% against it. I don't believe in anything that it's reported to be, and honestly, I do believe if you just truly go through it, it is all about dumbing down the future of America.
Did you hear that Tennessee student on the news the other day? I think it was last Thursday. A senior at one of the Tennessee high schools, and he got up and he had the microphone and he just in very eloquent form railed against Common Core and said that our forefathers and our pre-educators to today would roll over in their graves if they saw something like that as coming into the school systems.
I honestly believe it's true. I don't even understand how anybody can be for this. If you have a child that is in school, you need to be seriously doing your homework on Common Core and how it is going to affect your child and their education.
Well, there's a lot of questions and a lot of people, and I know that there's many people in this area that would take kind of a negative viewpoint against what I said. Quite frankly, I think Obamacare and Obamacare are a lot alike. Anytime the government gets involved with a program and pushes it, I'm a little bit leery in the beginning, but right now with education, I don't see that we're really pushing these kids to be and reach for the stars. Do you? I mean, this is something about education that when I was in school, I just think that they're like Mr. Schubert. I mean, he was my speech teacher, and he looked at me one day and he says, "You're not reaching high enough. You're not grasping high enough. You can do anything you want. All you have to do is just try to attain it." And that's the attitude that I think is lacking. We're so worried about the bottom end or everybody learning as a group. We need to tell people you don't have to stay in the group like a flock of sheep. You can reach for the stars and do it yourself.
I honestly believe that there are so many good teachers out there who are not allowed to teach to their abilities because of Common Core, because the bottom line for them is test scores. And that because the teachers are being graded on the students' test scores. So if the students' test scores are low, well, then the teacher is going to have a negative mark against them. So they're teaching to the test. They're not teaching the facts. They're not teaching the whole big picture of what the students need to learn. And they're not allowed to teach to the students certain abilities. Some students learn better in different ways than other students.
Yeah.
And so they are not allowed to tailor certain lesson plans to help one student achieve the same level as other students within the class. And so I'm just completely against it, all the way around. I think Common Core needs to be flushed.
Well, the name Common Core. Yeah. That leaves me with a cold feeling. Common. Yeah, you know what? A lot of people might be offended by this, but this is the way I feel. Not one of us, not one single person out in the audience should try to be or try to achieve commonness. No. Everybody has been given talents by the good Lord above. I don't care if it's public speaking. I don't care if it's artwork. I don't care if it has something to do with math and figuring things out like Einstein. Everybody has their own personal talents. But the word common, that really destroys the whole issue of trying to achieve something.
Yeah, I don't want to be common. I want to be exceptional.
There you go.
So, that's what this whole thing is about dumbing down and standardizing to a lower level of education. I don't know if there's any other way that I could explain that. It is truly dumbing down our students.
Well, you don't want Kennedy. I mean, absolutely.
No.
You've got a situation right there with your boy that he comes home and says, okay, Mom, everything is okay. I'm doing fine. I'm a C student, which means I'm mediocre, and so is the rest of the class. And so I'm just going to stay with mediocrity all the way through elementary school. And then when I get into junior high, all I have to do is just try to attain what the other kids are doing. And
right.
If I fall into their group of mediocrity, everything's okay, Mom. You don't want that.
I don't want that. One thing that I see right now, because, of course, he's just a little guy, he struggles with reading, but, man, this kid is going to be a whiz at math. That is going to be his strong point, and so we do need to work with his reading and bring his reading level up, but math is going to be where he shines the brightest, and so I want to make sure that he's given all of the opportunities to excel at math, and with Common Core, he's not going to have that ability, and we've got a phone call.
I want to say one thing to that first before we take this phone call. Caller, stay on the air. I think today education has a chance to just literally push students to the heights of the heavens if they have the opportunity, more so than what it was when I was in high school. I noticed that when I was in high school, and I'm not going to name anybody by name, but I'm just going to say guidance counselors in general, they looked at the overall picture of some of the students they thought were gifted, some of the students that came from more well-do families, and they seemed to push them more than everybody getting a shot maybe to achieve greatness. And I think today there's more opportunities out there than ever before, especially 30, 40, 50 years ago in education. I think guidance instructors have learned that they fell way short of what they should have been doing. No. Okay, we'll take the call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Okay, I couldn't agree with you guys more. About the immigration issue, I don't want to get emotional, but I can back up a lot of facts with statistics. About this Common Core, all they want us and our children to do is put your arms straight out in front of you with your wrists down and say, I hear and obey.
Mm-hmm.
But is it going to say, or are you going to say, I hear and Obama?
Unfortunately, I agree with you, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate your call. Very much I appreciate that. Hearing, listening, and falling into a little niche, that's not me. I mean, Gina is a young woman that is a single parent that has absolutely propelled herself to be one of the best in this communications business. And if I would have stayed with what my teachers and guidance instructors and other people would have said, I probably would still be working in a print shop making monolithic plates for a printing press. I didn't believe in what they said. I didn't want to achieve mediocrity. I wanted to do something really special. And I don't think the specialness is there anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I'd like to have your call.
I don't think you're wrong on that. They want everybody to be the same. It's kind of a cookie-cutter mentality. For me, my strong point is I'm a good talker. Always been a good talker.
Oh, boy.
I was voted most talkative throughout high school. This is what I excel at. Other people are very good at math. Some people are very good at science. Other people are very good at mechanical engineering. Those are not my strong suits. So you take your strong suits and you run with that. It is the job of the educators to find out what your child or their students' strong points are and let them excel at those and then help them along with the other topics and educational standards that they're falling behind.
Well, yeah, but wait a minute. You just make a point here, and it falls right into what I said last week, and I can't remember what day on the program. But I honestly believe that too many people are pushing their kids to have to go to college. I don't agree with that at all. As a matter of fact, I got to read this to you. You know who Mike Rowe is, don't you?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Mike Rowe does, the host of Discovery's Dirty Jobs, and he's on all the Ford commercials and everything else.
Yep.
And he said, quote, "We are lending money we don't have to kids who can't pay it back to train them for jobs that no longer exist. That's nuts." In other words, they're going to school, they're being basically paid to go to college, when a lot of them should be going to trade schools to learn whether it's welding or plumbing or whatever, because we need those kind of people in our everyday society.
Amen. My daughter, beautiful 20-year-old, she's got a smart little mind. She doesn't want to go to college. She wants to figure out what she wants to do first before she decides to fork out that money. Now, with my son, I would like to see him go to college, but, I'm going to wait till we get to that point to say, okay, son, what do you want to do?
Absolutely.
You can't push your child, or you can't push a person to go to college if they don't want to be there, because it's just...
I don't want everybody pigeonholed. If old Steve down the line wants to be a welder, why pigeonhole him and say, well, you got to go to the university? If old Mark over here wants to be a rocket scientist, give him every opportunity in the studies to go be a rocket scientist. But don't pigeonhole people into saying, well, we all got to go to college, we all have to have a college education. No, they don't.
I put myself through college, and honestly, I didn't decide to go to college until I was 27 years old, and I paid for it myself.
Yeah, and then you really put some time and effort into it, too.
Yeah, I did, too. We've got a phone call.
Okay, caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, this morning I was speaking to the Madison County Superintendent's secretary. I never got through to him, but he sounds like he's very available. And he wrote an article in a magazine. I don't know what magazine it was. I just heard about the article. And I called the secretary, and he was one of the dissenting votes against Tom Luna as far as all of your superintendents of schools in the Idaho. And so I was very interested in this article, and they're going to email it to me, and I'm going to read it. And it goes through point by point why Common Core is so terrible. His name is Jeffrey Thomas.
Okay, now didn't I...
Number 359-3300.
Okay.
And that's the office number.
Okay. Randy, rather than give that out over the air, I want you to basically call me after the program, and I'm going to talk to this gentleman. I believe that I talked to him one time on the air a long time ago, about a year or 2 years ago, and I'll try to get him on the program with that issue of that article if I could.
Well, this morning, it was before, I know you were up. And I was going to call you about somebody else that I was thinking about. It would be a great guest, and then I got busy. My phone started ringing. I forgot, but I'll call you later.
I appreciate it, Randy, very much. I'll look forward to it.
Bye.
I just know, I think back to my graduating class in high school, and we're going to do a Michael Rogers weather update in just a minute. But, Gina, in your class, just start thinking about your closest friends. And I was thinking about some of my high school buddies this morning. One man in particular that was absolutely a very shrewd business person. And he took classes, and right now he owns 2 or 3 different companies. One was absolutely outstanding with math, and he went on to further his activities and go on to teach. Mm-hmm. But then there were others that absolutely wanted to become, one to get in the restaurant business, and now owns 7 different restaurants in southern Wisconsin. You can't pigeonhole people in saying going to college is the panacea and the cure-all. It's not. A lot of them wanted to be welders. Many of them wanted to do things maybe with the agriculture and stay in farming, and I'm not at all belittling them because they feed the world and they've got to be the smartest people in the world today to know all about the applications of the fertilizer and everything else. But not all people should and could go to college.
No, I mean, I have people that I graduated with. Some of them went into the family business, which was logging. We need loggers out there to harvest the trees so we can build homes, so we can make paper, so we can do the other things that we need to do with wood. We need those people in the farming industry because, yes, America is the breadbasket to the world. There are people who are really good at computers. There are people like me who are really good at talking. Other people are really good at math and science and chemistry. Everybody has their place within the society, but not everybody needs to go to school to do that.
Why should we as a society have all these people that we saw up at Boise on the lawn or back in New York taking up residency, blocking people from getting into business? Why should we give them student loans to basically waste the money and cause havoc and not pay any of the money back as another negative to our national debt?
I wish I had the answer to that one. We've got another phone call for you.
I'll take that call in just a minute. Can we quickly, caller, stay on the line, quickly have a weather update with MichaelRogersWeather.com.
Hey, everybody, Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Pretty simple as we start a brand spanking 2 week of you, me, and weather and cold. You're going to see a lot of sun, buried with the clouds, and if you get up to 45, you'll be lucky. 46 is a pretty good number. The overnight low, you better put a sweater on. So we're going to get down to like the upper teens. 18 is a pretty good number, and it's going to stay that way till tomorrow. You'll start to see some clouds as you work your way toward the holiday, but our theme for this week, it's going to be nice. It's going to be cold. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy what you got.
Thank you, Michael. MichaelRogersWeather.com. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Well, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I didn't finish college. I graduated with a degree in welding. But I've been around equipment and stuff like that most of my life, and I can usually look at a piece of equipment, see how it's supposed to be working, and I can usually come up with something to make it work. I do not have the degree in that to back everything up, but I can usually figure out something to make it work.
You know, what you're talking about, Kiltman, is I am amazed because I am very poor working with my hands. I don't like to work with my hands. I don't like to build things. I don't like to be a mechanic. I don't like that kind of thing. And I am absolutely amazed as to people like you and others that have that kind of talent. Now, does that mean that you had to go to college to learn that? No. You probably learned a lot of it through the School of Hard Knocks. I know a lot of welders that developed huge welding businesses, and they never set their foot on a college campus. What I'm saying is, if the drive and the desire is out there to do something and achieve something, college is not the answer for everybody.
No, it's not. It's not. I have actually sat in a room with a room full of engineers for Ford Motor Company to tell them how a piece of equipment has to be put together to make it work. So there's a guy with suits on that make more than what I make in a year, and I'm telling them how to make things go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you made my point. I mean, I think a college education is tremendous. I think colleges serve their purpose, but they're not a place for everybody to go, everybody to spend money on, everybody to go in debt for, because I think there's trade schools, I think there's the School of Hard Knocks, I think there's a lot of things available out there for people with the drive and desire for their achieved and wanted field to make a success out of themselves in their lifetime.
Agree. I got to go. Have it. All right,
buddy. Thank you. We'll take some more calls on this in just a minute. I know I'm probably making a lot of people in education really mad this morning, but so be it. I'm being honest. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and absolutely, they are the best. All 7 locations serving you with the best of winter traction tires. They've got them all. All the pin for studs, all of those with the different tread designs to get you through the ice, the muck, and the snow. All these tires available at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. 7 locations serving you, and they've got all the tire chains. They got all the batteries, and you better get in there for a free battery test to make sure your car is going to start in the morning. Best brake value promised. They've got professionally trained technicians, over 30 years experience, shocks and struts, front end alignments, all of this and more at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Whew, Gina, do we have another call?
No, we don't.
Wow, that was a busy half hour.
It was a busy half hour, and this is the final thing that I'm going to comment on Common Core. What I'm largely afraid of is that it's going to take the arts, the music, everything out of the school system, because basically those are fading away. They don't teach a lot of music anymore. They don't teach a lot of the art classes anymore. And so what is going to happen to that? Where's the outlet? Students need to learn this kind of stuff.
You know, you just touched on music. And I think it's such a shame that some of the schools have had to forego the music because of budget constraints and everything. And some people that can play instruments, whether it's the trombone, whether it's the trumpet, whether it's the guitar, accordion, whatever, I just sit there and admire them and their ability to do this. The only thing I can play is the radio, and I'm not very good at that sometimes. But I just absolutely think everybody's got a different niche. Everybody has a different want. Everybody has a different desire, and we can't all fit into a common circle.
No, and it's true. And so we need to support our home ec teachers. We need to support our welding teachers, our ag teachers, our wood shop teachers. We need to support those. We need to support music. I mean, because those things are going to be pulled out, and they're going to go to the wayside.
There you go.
Well, it doesn't fit into Common Core, and we've got one more phone call.
Okay, one quick call. Exactly a minute left. Go, caller, real fast.
Hi, this is the Tea Party lady.
Yes,
ma'am. The government intended for education to be done locally, not from the federal government. We are having a big Common Core meeting in January through the Tea Party, and we're going to have some of the people from Boise come and do the presentation, so kind of keep that in mind.
I appreciate it, Rita. God bless you for your call. I like that. She says, I'm the Tea Party lady. She's a sharp woman. Rita Ramsey, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Tomorrow on the program is Tuesday. We've got a full plate tomorrow. Holy smokes. We've got with Americans for Prosperity. We've got Nicole Kading. We've got Ashley McGuire on. We've got Mike Maiden. He's got a new book called Drones. Woo. It is a chilling book and very, very well done. You're going to like this along with Dr. History and a lot of other things, so don't miss tomorrow's program. Starting at 8:06, we'll saddle the horse for 3 hours, Zeb at the ranch, and remember our byline, the way things were or the way things ought to be. Don't forget to get your turkey paragraphs in today. We're going to have the drawing for 2 more turkeys tomorrow. Until then, tomorrow morning at 8:06, Zeb at the ranch with Gina running the board. We'll see you then. Goodbye, everybody. God bless.